No, they think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope podcast to step to. Salute to everybody who could hear the sound of my voice, man. I said I wasn't gonna do this no more where I take a little step back, but sometimes you got to, man. Like with me and the way we do, we always do, we believe in quality, not quantity. And it's been a lot of foreign style Phuckery, if you ask me, as far as what's been going on with boxing. And I wanted to put some things on your mind and let everybody know where I stand on some things, and mainly this $100 million deal. And I'm gonna start off by saying this: go on, get your money, little duffel bag boy. Like, this is not one of them things where I'm gonna hate on another, especially somebody that look like myself, that got a father in his life. I'm not gonna hate on somebody going to go get Z-Bag. I recall when a lot of people used to hate on Floyd, and he said he's basically robbing the bank. And everybody, oh my gosh, but like, Floyd was must-see TV. Like, whether you loved him, whether you hated him, he was must-see TV. Like, he always performed. He always showed up and showed out. And what's been going on, what I've been seeing here, if you relate it to other sports, and see, we are very niche. We're already in a niche market, but then we stay off the beaten path. We don't do clickbait. We don't copy and steal and, act like, we came up with these thoughts and ideas. We get it out Z-Mud whenever we talk about boxing. So I've been looking at the landscape of boxing, right? And I've been putting it on the same level as the other sports, basketball, football, things like that, right? And since we're not all sensational, we're not going to be talking about, AB's bad habits. We wish that man getting better. Dean is doing a great job. We said it, I believe, days before they actually started. We said it was going to take a level-headed individual to get AB on his tracks, right? We don't talk about how Papoose pre-came and, Clarissa had a pregnancy scare. We don't get into all that messy stuff. We keep it pure boxing. We try not to be toxic. But what we do is we point out the facts. Sometimes it might seem a little mundane. Sometimes it's like, oh man, why are you so technical? Why are you so long-winded? So what? If you don't like what's being said over here, man, find another channel. Always say, man, we're not trying to be the Drake of this shit. I'm more like the Lloyd Banks of this shit, because I could really walk away from this shit. And the way boxing has been going, I was almost going to be okay with saying, oh, well, with this shit. Because the trends, like when you look at like I'm an Eagles fan, right? If you look at Saquon Barkley, like setting rushing records, like we are on, like, in certain sports, yes, the bag is getting bigger, even though I still cite that it's relative. Because even back in the day when people, when star NFL players used to make like $1,700 a week, you know, the owner was still paying everybody on the team. So as the contracts got up to 100 mil and 200 mil and all this other stuff, and that the owner was still able to pay the whole team. So it's relative. Was there a progression? That's up for debate. Just like when you see actors in, you know, their roles, and when you start seeing them getting these back-breaking numbers, and you like, oh man, they the highest paid actor and all that. It's still relative, because back in the day, you know, I just gave the comparison of the 1,700 for the NFL players, but back in the day when, you know, actors might have been getting 100 grand or 200 grand, you know, it was relative. Whoever was still cutting the checks was still cutting the checks. So whoever was owning and able to pay, how much are they making? So it get lost in illustration when you see all these gaudy numbers, 250 or whatever. That's irrelevant. But in boxing always had something that would dictate how much people would get paid. And what was that? The number of butts you could put in seats. So there's been this evolution in boxing, right? And even in basketball, you just seen a guy, who was that guy in the league who just, you know, pretty much went up there with the Kobe numbers, and people was hating because he did all the numbers or whatever. But if you look at it, they are looking for ways to increase the numbers. When you look at the rules and the landscape of football, even going back to the Michael Vick time, you know, when Peyton, right before Peyton got ready to retire, they started changing all these rules, defensive receivers, and, you know, you got to go up, because I played football. That was my heart. We was always taught that if you go up there and you touch, especially as a defensive player, if you touch that ball, we're going to try to break your neck. Don't touch the rock. The old head said it the best. He said, man, we knew back in the day, he said, if a wide receiver come across the middle and they cut across the middle, they know that if they go catch that ball, it was going to be a toll to pay. We talking about when Ronnie Lott used to hit people, and Ronnie Lott knocked part of his finger off, and he didn't even realize it. His teammate had to, but he was performing. He was in the game. He was putting it down. He didn't care about another finger. Hey man, give me some tape. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this back on to the net. What we doing next? You know, that's how it was. Boxing is not the same. So we're gonna dive into some numbers. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna showcase some things that's going on. And we're gonna showcase some numbers, and we're gonna talk about some things that's going on in boxing and some trends that don't make sense. And it's a lot of things. Normally I would do my housekeeping. You know, normally I would come out and, you know, talk about a couple of things as it relates to boxing, but I just said I'm a freestyler because I know the prelims are on for the Fabio Worley and Dubois. But I think I was up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was gonna go live at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I said, nah, even though I'm a night owl, but I was just up for 3 o'clock in the morning. I was wrapping my mind. I'm like, where is my sport heading? See, because there's a lot of people that care about boxing, but they only care about boxing as it relates to how much money they can make off of it, right? I was just talking about the other day, how, you know, one of the biggest channels on YouTube, and I salute the guy for what he do, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not a hater. I don't like the things, I don't care for the things, I actually hate some of the things that they say, but as far as like hard work and doing the work, keeping boxing going, you know, entertaining fans, getting people through their work day. You know, sometimes I listen to stuff while I'm on my routes, running my paper route, and I listen. You know, I don't like the things that are coming across. But there's one guy that always, like, he puts on throat coat, he puts on knee pads, he puts in the tonsil jewelry, he got his reach around extenders, all for Devin. And I'm like, hey man, support your fighter. You know, but you can't criticize somebody who just keep it all the way boxing when it comes to their fighter, and then they, you know, you say that they deriding or they got knee pads on for this guy, but like it's clear that you go above and beyond anything that's speculated. It's law on that channel. They push it. Like you always get the benefit of the doubt. No proof, nothing in concrete, nothing etched in stone. Just mere speculation for other people. Like the little guy from Baltimore who goes everywhere and he always sells out. And I hate to bring him up because people use his name, but like he actually sells out. It's proof in the pudding. Like where he goes, he sells out. Whether it's the Barclays Center, whether it's in DC, whether it's in Vegas, whether it's in Atlanta, he puts the butts in the seats that guarantees. So if not one person buy out there, at least the people that come up and showed up to the venue, they damn near breaking gate numbers every time. They packing out, but they get no credit. But somebody who couldn't sell out a chicken dinner at a family cookout is allegedly getting ready to get 100 M's. It don't make no sense. And the connotation always is when it comes down to PBC is he always alludes to PBC. He always alludes to PBC as having slave contracts. And I question that. And you know why, because you know who's affiliated. You know Al Heyman. So it's always right. Just like gangbanging is always affiliated with PBC, right? Gangbanging is always affiliated with PBC. They don't say gangbanging with Matchroom. They don't say gangbanging with Golden Boy, but they say gangbanging when it comes to PBC. Just like slave contract is always alluded to PBC. But what is really a Zuffa contract? What are you talking about, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? What is Zuffa? Well, you can't have your own shorts. You can't endorse, like if you got to deal with Nike, unless they're getting ready to change, if you got to deal with Nike or anything, it's almost like a 360 deal where they own you. So who really is getting ready to get into, and who has already been getting into these quote unquote slave contracts? And when you really listen to it, see, we so used to listening to these talking heads to where they got an agenda. The reason why everybody's pushing in the media and all that is because if this is to go down, which if he get the money, I'm like, hey, dang, you hit the lick. Good for you if you get it. But what I'm saying is, as far as boxing goes, what does this mean for the vitality of boxing? Where is my sport going? It's already looking like WWE, WWF. It's already people who want to do more for less. And yes, they get hit in the head, but it's no longer the gladiator sport of yesterday, y'all. It no longer is. What are we rewarding? What is the message? Or is it all an agenda? I believe the latter. So I'm going to ask something. And Rainbow Guy, you must be lost, bro. You really must be lost, man. I'm gonna let you make it in the comment section for now. But you lost, brother. This channel ain't for everybody. So find somebody to go play with, man. For real, for real. Go taste the rainbow somewhere. I don't know. Go eat some Skittles. Go ride a pony. You know, go play with some Barbie dolls. I'm not sure like what you need to do, but like this ain't the place, bro. This is not the place to be playing around. Like this is serious business. I told y'all this is a niche market. I don't care if one person hear this. At least I got through to one person. So I'm not catering anything to you and what you got going on and what you're trying to do with the channel. Like you lost, bro. If you are even are a brother, or I don't know what you are. I don't know how you identify. But I know you might be identifying as, in my book, as a lost wanderer, a nomad. Like this ain't the place for you. You know, respectfully. Where's our sport going, y'all? Like compared to the other sports, compared to like the gladiators of yesterday, compared to like, you know, you have people that like, and no, you know, This is factual information. You have somebody who has never sold out not a single venue anywhere. Like the price tag that they're getting. See, it makes sense for people in the NFL. It makes sense for it because even when you look at it, like I seen what Steph Curry said that they think people in the NBA are underpaid. And like, see, for the common man, you'd be like, underpaid? What is he talking about? But like in the grand scheme of things, just like I just told y'all about the 1700 back in the day when football players really didn't even have no face masks. They had like leather helmets and like they used to have one bar. It's relative. Why? Because the owner was paying everybody. How much is the owners really making? But boxing always had like a fail-safe thing to where it's like if you don't put the butts in the seat, even when you're growing, even when they want to see you matriculate and go on and see if you have the potential to be a star, even in your local gyms and all that, you got to be able to pack out that auditorium. You got to be able to pack out those local stadiums. Like we got Derek Davis, who's been coming out here right around the corner. I actually work right. I could literally walk to where they be fighting in Hanover at the, in the Rundle Mills. Like where I go, where my warehouse is, where I check in at, when I get ready to run my route, I could literally walk over there. Like they're doing numbers. They're showing their equity. Why? Because people are coming out to see them. You got to be able to put the butts in the seats, whether people think you're born or not, whether you got the charisma. Like it's a lot of like that young dude Scarborough. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm really a big fan. He got a lot of heart, you know what I'm saying? But like he's a seller. Like somehow, some way, the energy he gives off, like he can sell the tickets. That's always been the name of the game. That's always been the fail-safe proof system to warrant what these guys are getting. And they always say you get what you negotiate. But is there a bigger thing going on? Is what I'm getting at. Is there more to this story? Is there like a hidden agenda to this whole thing? Yes, there is. Which leads me to my point about Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley I'm like, you got to stop and think, like, why are you on vacation? Why are you taking time out on vacation to co-sign speculation? Like, does that make any sense? If you a Hall of Famer, you doing numbers on your channel, you have your moments where I'm like, brilliant, Tim, bravo. Like, yes, that's the Tim. Like, if this Tim right here, I would tune in and listen. Every time I see that notification, I would pop in. But sometimes I see the title and I don't listen. Sometimes it'd be 3, 4, 5 days, or I hear somebody talking about what somebody said, and I'm like, hold on, let me go back and see what he actually said. Because I don't understand why he say and do some of the things he do. Now, you got brilliant Tim, and then you got double standards Tim. Whenever they talk about the little dude from Baltimore, it's always hate. It's always doubt. It's always unbelief. But he's been the one selling out all across the country. Like, no matter where he goes, he's been selling out and knocking people out. He got a 93.3. So on both ends, people are coming to see him, and he got the knockout ratio. Because you have knockout artists. You have people with these high knockout ratios who can't sell out nothing. They can't headline nothing. So it's both. You got to have something to where people want to actually see you. It's like an it factor you got to have. Now it's just an agenda to move on from somebody who might have it and several people who have the potential to have it, but they get no play in GA. They don't get the attention they need. They actually get hate, like those Shockey Fosters of the world, the Brian Normans of the world. I still don't think the Abdullah Masons of the world get the attention that they deserve. And they're doing it the right way. We got some young throwback guys, but because of social media, the public interest, and I always say, he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age. My man AC, he always say, man, I used to say, man, perception versus reality. He learned me something. He showed me something that was evident and present, and he always said, no, perception is reality now. Because now we used to have you used to have people who come out and say something, and then you had the burden of proof to be able to prove it. Now somebody can just put something out there, and because Mike Coppman just said it, and Tim Bradley said it, and Andre Ward said it, and LaShawn McCoy said it, all of these people say it, then it's true. It's not true. You think about some of the accusations that come up across some of our biggest athletes. Once that shit hit TMZ, once that shit hit TBV, once that shit hit The Breakfast Club, once that, and it's already out there now, you don't only have the burden of proof because it really didn't happen. Or a lot of these things don't happen. You know, everybody's trying to fix and find their way to be able to get to a bag, even if it's the dung beetle effect, where they let the dung beetle, he get his pile of shit, he rolled it all the way up at the top of the hill. It's a dung beetle waiting in the cut. As soon as you get up to the top of the hill, you on the downward, they come out, knock you off your shit and down. This is my dung beetle. This is my shit. This always like that. And this is what they're doing to the little guy in Baltimore. It's a lot of people that talk about this. It's not popular, but it's a lot of people that do that. There has been a massive campaign to railroad guys that are affiliated with other people. And then it's always a negative connotation. I don't do that. I got fighters that I like, like I actually rock with Matchroom. I got fighters like I rock with Fabio Worley. I kind of like Daniel Dubois. Is Dubois a little socially awkward? Yeah, but like I like the story of Fabio Worley. I like his style. I like that he didn't have all that amateur, but he's still proving everybody wrong. He's still figuring out how to erase shit. He's still learning on the job. He's saying, listen, I don't want no easy fight. I'm not going to go take my stuff and go try to find the easiest. This is what's going on. And in U.S. boxing, we are actually hurting for a heavyweight. But over there, they are lit. I like it because over there, the stuff is not contrived over there. When I looked at the build-up between Fabio Worley and Daniel Dubois, it's not contrived. It's not rehearsed. It's not WWE. It's no script. Ain't nobody sending no fruit baskets over and doing all that. It's like, no, they got bad blood. I say, hey, man, if you wasn't boxing, you'd probably be a bin man, what they call it. We call it a garbage man, like The Rock. Y'all remember The Rock? It's like some bad blood. They really want to get it on, like, and somebody going to sleep later on in a couple hours. But our shit is so contrived. And the people who are really doing right, the people that really want to smoke, ain't nobody saying nothing. Why? Because they want a Zuffa check. They want a turkey check. Everybody want to be affiliated, so everybody's scared to say the truth. It's very, very rare. And I frequent a couple channels. I like my channels. You know, I like you can pretty much call it the mixtape circuit. The people that's on the mixtape, the people that's not trying to be the Drake of the shit, the people that's not trying to be politically correct, the people that's not trying to be the Oracle or somebody where they all come by and we sit around and sip coffee and, hey, how you doing? Oh, how you doing? How was your day? And we ain't come for all that. It's certain people that I fuck with, like my man Crush. He always gonna keep it a buck. He gonna say what need to be said regardless. My route, I'll be up early enough. I already be getting into my paper route, so I'll be up. Early bird get the worm. So I'll go over and listen to what they say. You know what I'm saying? I agree with about 95%. And I appreciate people like that. It's in the same vein of how I am. It's like I go. Lloyd Banks ain't had a commercial hit, but I listen to him damn near every day. Ace Hood, he ain't really been that commercial. I listen to him. Why? Because they're real, they're authentic. They're going to say exactly what they want to say. They're not going to conform and try to be commercialized. But everywhere you go in this boxing talk, everywhere you go, everybody trying to be commercialized. Everybody trying to be politically correct. Nobody want to offend nobody from the Brat Pack. Bud and all of them. Nobody want to offend Shakur. Everybody, the narratives. And I'm like, some of y'all just, you lose your common sense when you come online, you start talking about boxing. It don't really make no sense. It baffles me because I'm like, why you got to be a different person? I'm sure everybody that like and love you in your personal life, they going to like and love you if you bring that same energy online, but you don't do that. You want to be a character. You want to be liked. You want to be friends. You want to, oh, hey, how you doing? And all this, it's like, man, nah, talk that boxing shit. Let's keep it all the way, but let's stop playing politics. I see somebody right now doing the same shit they was doing when Bud and Spence was going at it. Wouldn't pick a side. Always flip-flopping. Always doing this political bullshit. They doing the same thing with Tank and Shakur now. Now they just now coming out saying, oh man, Shakur, man, because they saying Shakur gonna go over to Zuffa. You just now getting that? It's just now dawning on you that he been on some bullshit? Shakur used to be one of my favorite fighters behind Tank. I had my top 3 favorites. Spence, Tank, it was Tank, Spence, and Jamel. Those are my top 3 fighters. They still are. They just haven't been active. So for somebody like me, it's like, I'm not just going to keep putting Tank face up on there and just making up shit and saying this and doing all that. I'm not just going to shit on Jermell Charlo because he's getting blackballed, even though he was undisputed for all these people who love all this accolade, alphabet soup. But it don't apply when it come down to Jermell, a guy who went by one and picked up the belts. Don't nobody care. They laugh and say, oh, he can't get a fight. Oh, his personality. Why? Because they know he might knock your favorite fighter the fuck out. He back. Somebody put him out of his misery. It's okay when it come down to the Pedrazas of the world, the Jose Ramirez's of the world. You can even say the Regis of the world. Everybody lining up to get that. But ain't nobody lining up to get that male smoke. I wonder why. Because it might come with an overhand right. And boom, just like that. And I've noticed that they cannot give anybody from the PBC no credit. This is why David Benavidez has been getting all the shit he been getting here lately. So now the narrative is when Ja, and I like Ja. I like him. I say, hey, go and get your money, little duffel bag boy. But we called it before it happened when he went over there to Zuffa that he was going to get stripped of his belt. And everybody, no, he ain't, no, man, he wouldn't have did that. And then in hindsight, oh, man, they did. They try to blame the sanctioning body when they did it before. So now the narrative is that David Benavidez is ducking Ja. How, Sway? How? And now since David Benavidez won't go over to Zuffa, now he's ducking. How? We just went through this when Shakur in record-breaking fashion in less than 30 days when he had a 6-fight, $18 million minimum deal with Top Ring. And it was 3 belts on his side, 1 belt over there with Tank. He goes over to an island, and then people say Tank was ducking him. We just went through this. But because the media controls, and everybody want to get a Zuffa check, and if you in line and you tickle Bud's balls and you engage whatever he's saying and doing, how he running up on people, and he's a social media darling now, even though he's supposed to be retired. Go be retired, bro. You got people like Keyshawn and Devin. They do this linguini method where they just put out a whole bunch of names and they see what's gonna stick, and they don't fight none of them. Devin just ducked Rolly. He turned down 50-50. That's betting on yourself, but they saying he's betting on himself to go over to Zuffa. How is it betting on yourself to go over to Zuffa when they just giving away bread? All it is turkey and the last little bit of money he got left being filtered over there. Why? Because the fight is not going to make no money. It's empirical data. It's historical facts. There are venues. There's time. There's numbers that prove that it's not going to be worth it. Nowhere else in the American dream and American business will anything sustain if you're always losing money and not making a profit. LB forecasted it a long time ago. People was hating on him. He was spitting pure facts. Richards and Hitchens, my guy, I had to cook one of my guys for doing some dumb shit. He ducked Duarte. How did that age well? Very bad. It aged very bad. You might well sit a carton of milk on top of a hood of a Freightliner in Arizona with 120. It's gonna age very bad. It aged very. He dug Duarte to go over to Zuffa for what? Nobody's saying nothing. Nobody's speaking about these things. Nobody like to talk about numbers. They say, "Oh, it's just, it's too much, man. We just want to have fun. We just want to laugh." It's like, yeah, y'all laughing, but boxing is going down the drain. It's circling the drain. I see we got a lot of clowns trying to jump in today. But again, y'all must be lost, bro. Once I put this out here, right, and I get done, people gonna go back and look and see what I was talking about. So my purpose and my agenda is already going to be done. You can clown all you want. It's not going to stop nothing. I was sitting here trying to figure out, I said, hold on, a man that was at 168 he moves up to light heavyweight. He moves up again to cruiserweight. He jumps up 25 pounds. And people I don't think people were really concerned about whether or not David Benavidez was going to win the fight. The big question was he going to actually stop Zurdo? And I was giving Zurdo a hard time. The guy was like 48-1, and I had to ease up, and I said, okay, he lost to one of my other guys, one of my other favorite fighters, Dimitri Bivol. And I had to remind myself, I said, hey, you know what? He only lost to Dimitri Bivol. You know what I'm saying? In this era, one of the best to lace him up. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what popular media. I don't care who got what pound for pound and how they pushing. All that shit is politically driven. All that shit is just to try to gang up and try to fool the masses. Why? Because a lot of people that are involved with boxing, even if you watch it, they're casual. They're not hardcore. They don't care about the longevity of the sport. They just want to see a good fight. They want to see a good scrap and move on. They don't got time to do the research and say, okay, yeah, it turned out to be an okay fight. But the real smoke, the real thing would have been for this guy to fight that guy. They don't get into the intricacies. And I don't blame them. Why? Because boxing will make you do that. It's not like any other sport, but it's primal. But I was wondering, I sat back and I was looking and I was listening to everybody and all their takes on David Benavidez. And I said, hold on, man. Before the fight, I started saying, listen, man, he's merging into Canelo's lane. He's getting ready to take that. And then he's going to be in the front. He's going to be able to pop a Willie. But after he stops Zurdo, stop the dude, the goalpost instantly moved up to him going up to heavyweight. But you got a guy like Shakur Stevenson right now. He won't go down and fight O'Shaquie at 135, and then he's trying to say, oh, well, he ain't fought there, but he wants to. And O'Shaquie say, I'll fight you at 140. O'Shaquie say, I could have got you your belt back. I would have paid the fees. We could have did it in our backyard. All you gotta do is fight me. So all that griping and complaining and all that belly aching for social media for people to get likes, clicks, and views and get cash apps and super chats so they can come down on the WBC. Oh man, the WBC is this. It was a way for him to get his belt back. The man said no. Fight my mans. So you know what O'Shaquie say? All right, I'm gonna fight your mans then. So when I fight your mans after that, what you gonna do? So now you're gonna be in a bad way. And now it's speculation this man going over to Zuffa. And ain't nobody really gonna try to say that that's gonna be like, I don't know what kind of ducks. We getting into different kind. Like he's getting ready to create a whole duck family tree. Nobody's saying nothing. Why? But Shakur don't get none of the slack because he beat T.O. He didn't beat T.O. the way Zurdo, and Zurdo, and to his credit, T.O. didn't even fight the way Zurdo fought. T.O. didn't do nothing. And they try to say, oh, it's because of how he... No, man, T.O. could put in more energy, more effort. I've seen him look more lively, do more interviews. I've been not allowing myself to listen to anything T.O. been saying. I've been seeing him on the thumbnails and seeing him do whatever. And maybe if I'm looking at a short, if I don't click on, I might see a little bit what he's doing. He's been more animated now and before the fight than he was inside the ring when it really counted. But everybody shitting on David Benavidez after stopping Zurdo, going up 25 pounds. But Shakur just won and he want to fight Ryan at the catch weight. He want to fight Conor Bennett at the catch weight. Talking about I'm a little guy, but he been bigger than T.O. for 2 years. What are we talking about, y'all? What is going on with our sport? And I noticed they are not going to allow anybody from the PBC or anybody that's represented or affiliated. They are not going to let them get any shine. They're going to use the social media to create articles, to create these videos, to have this person shit. I seen Darrell, Andre Darrell, coming out hating on David. Yeah, but he going to lose. It's like, what about giving a man his credit? Most of the people that's criticizing David Benavidez right now have, like, even if they were boxing, they didn't do the shit that David Benavidez is doing. You can't even ask Shakur to go down to 135 to fight a guy that's fighting at 130 right now. You can't ask him to go to 147 when he say skills pay the bills. After seeing his big homie Bud, he jumps up and do that to Canelo. It is all of a sudden, it was like, man, nah, that's Bud. He's different. Okay, so if he's different and you one of them ones, so y'all both not one of them ones. You get to move how you want. Devin doing the same thing. It's not making no sense, y'all. And I'm telling y'all, man, social media, man, and the people that's like the boxing writers, because everybody want to default to the boxing writers. You have people like Sean Zattel, like, remember, I got to say on the board. So people going to be nice. They not going to check nothing he say. He get to say whatever he want. He get to ping pong the fans. He get to say this one day and say that the other day. Tim Bradley, Andre Ward, all of them guys doing it now because they have a platform, they have a voice, and because them two boxers, they in the Hall of Fame, they could pretty much, they got carte blanche to say whatever they want, and ain't nobody gonna check the shit that they say. That's why you need channels like this that's actually gonna do that. I'm gonna put something up here. I'm gonna let y'all look at this for a second, and then I'm gonna start breaking this down, man. It's because, yeah, this is one of them things where I had to put a stake in the ground, right? And I had to get this, I had to put this on wax. I had to get this out here so that it's a reference. That's what I always do. I put stakes in the ground, and it ages so well. A lot of people copy this. If you've been copying and pasting, if you like biting, if you like riding the coattails of this channel, and you like just flipping it and putting your little secret sauce, bite this shit. Bite this right now. Bite this what I'm getting ready to put up here right now. Use this. Take advantage of this. Look at this, y'all. So we can break this down. I'm gonna give you a second to look at this, and so that you can try to interpret this or whatever. I'm gonna come down and break it down. I'm gonna ask you, do this make sense? When you look at the landscape of how basketball is, how football is, how these numbers are, I want you to ask yourself, do this shit make any sense? So you all had, I gave y'all a minute or two to actually analyze this. In football, in basketball, in baseball, when you look at pitchers, they say, okay, well, in the last 3 games, like in football, it's like quarters. Okay, well, first quarter, okay, what we doing in this? This how you keep your team on track and on pace. And what you do is, okay, the first 4 games, you analyze where everybody going. The next 4 games, after that, you're going to be at the halfway point, right? So they look at your performance. Like Jalen Hurts, they was up his tail with a flashlight analyzing everything. How many completions, how many interceptions. In boxing, it's a little different because the numbers can say something, right? But then at the end of the day, you like Fabio Wardley. If you go back and you look at the fight with Fabio Wardley and Justice Haney, right? If you look at those numbers, like those numbers are not going to be complimentary of what Fabio Wardley was able to do. But guess what? He had an eraser. But then when you look at his last 3 fights, the level of competition, how he's moving up, how he's getting the job done, he's still learning on the job, and all these people with all this technical expertise and all these things going on, he's figuring out a way to get the job done. That's the beauty in boxing. So if you got an eraser, that could be your saving grace. But if we was looking at something, right, and you saying, okay, well, right now at this day and time, who would we be giving $100 million? I think David Benavidez would be the one. He's the one who's going to move. He's not ducking. He's not dodging no smoke. I wouldn't say Fabio Wardley there, but he got the kind of energy. Hell, Usyk dropped his belt to go fight a kickboxer. Nobody's saying nothing. But when we look at Devin in his last 3 fights, right? Because I was analyzing, I'm like, man, because I don't hate Devin. I hate the way the media, I hate the grasp that they have on media, and I know what it's all about. Like, it's the reason why the boxing boys to come out and cap and cape and curse somebody out over speculation when they spitting straight facts. Why? Because they're gonna get part of the money. See, a lot of these guys are bought and paid for. So it's not just an agenda to see a young man that, you seen, from the amateurs, like matriculate. It's not all about that. It's about how can I benefit? Like, how can I get money off of it? How am I going to be included in those numbers? Like, how is some of that 100 M's going to translate to my bank account? People like me is like, hey, none of that's going to translate to my bank account. Because when you talk and you celebrate somebody like a Tank Davis and you say, oh man, he got this and he got that, they're like, oh man, what? You act like you getting some of that money. But like now, they don't do the same thing. When it come down to people like Devin, when it come down to people like Shakur, they don't use to say, I've even had people come on this channel and say, oh man, yeah, it's different for Tank. It's like, well, if it's different for him and you're not holding your favorite fighter to the same standard that you're holding everybody else in, what the fuck are you talking about? How are any of your arguments valid? Why? It's because you want to stay in the good graces of whoever it is you hang with and you kick it with. And I say, hey, listen, go listen to all these guys. Go have your water cooler talk. Go where everybody knows your name and they always glad you came and all that, and get your rub around, your rub on your back, your pat on the back, your kudos, your whatever where you feel special, right? Go listen to all of that, then come over here and come get that real, that raw. We gonna keep it all the way funky. And so I was like, man, like, how am I gonna do this without like making it seem like I'm hating? Because I gave Devin a lot of credit for getting past Brian Norman. He made me eat crow. But I started saying, okay, because I think like having my own business and working for myself is coming up on 2 years now. And this second go around working for myself, it's been 2 years now. I look at things a little bit different. I don't look at things like an employee. I look at things like, okay, if I was going to do this venture, would I put this kind of money into that without the return on investment? So I'm analyzing, I'm looking at it from a different hat. So I said, all right, let me try to give Devin a fair shake. Let's go back 3 fights ago. He ran into Ryan. Ryan smacked him. And they try to say it was the Osterine. So they ain't blame it on the alcohol. They blamed it on the Osterine. Something that help you cut weight or whatever. They've since did something where it's like, they've come out because Sabril Matias had the same thing. This wasn't like the Meldonium, like Janabek. This is whole different thing. You got like steroids, and you got, you know, weight cutting agents and all this and all that. And they, you know, it's a fine line and all that. So what wound up happening? After the adverse, you know, finding, and they found the oxy ring, he wound up getting a no contest. It's wiped off. He got that one that was in the other column, in the lost column, got that smudged off. Got that smudged off, which gives a little bit of credence to what they were saying about him in the past, as far as that Mexico stuff and him getting stuff wiped off and them doing the politics thing. It's like, yeah, man, like, you know, stuff like that happens all the time. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go past right here. I know when you come by here, but you're gonna have to grease my mitts with an envelope in order for this cargo trailer to go down this road every week at this time. Yeah, but I'm gonna need something. If I don't get what I'm getting, we going through this cargo trailer with, like, yeah, it happens. Payola happens. I know when we used to go down to Juarez, we used to sneak over, and I was in El Paso, Texas, we used to sneak over to Juarez, right? We wasn't supposed to go. You leave your military ID at home, you just take your driver license. They pretty much know you probably in the military, but we used to sneak over there and go over there. But if you ever got in some trouble, guess what? You had to have money in your pocket, or you're going to jail for anything. They're gonna take you, and you ain't supposed to be over there. So you had to have money in your pocket. So if you ever got stopped, it's like, yo, okay, here you go. Here you go. Take that. All right. They'll let you go on. So that those kind of things happen, right? It's always gonna be flies in the ointment. It's always gonna be corruption and all that, right? So okay. The Ryan thing, okay, cool. The history of the Mexico thing, okay, cool, because you went on to do amazing feats as a young man. You wind up getting undisputed in one fight. Some shit that'll never happen unless you do something like Bud, like what Bud did, where he jumped up and fought the guy that had all the straps, and then all of a sudden he undisputed. He did something. He got emailed the belt. He took that belt and then went and fought a guy and then rematched that guy. So he got undisputed in one fight, defended in another fight, get all the credit for going across the pond against somebody that he was way bigger than. I already went down how he's always been younger. He's always been taller. He's always been longer. He's always been more faster, more athletic, better coaching, better timing, fighting people coming off loss. He's always had all these advantages. It wasn't until they got in there with Ryan where those advantages was a little mismatched, and we seen the results, but it got wiped off. It got wiped off. So then we move on. He takes some time off. He take a year off. He get his mind right. Ryan say he concluded that his jaw was broken. Yeah, and that he had PTSD. And it was highly speculated the way he fought Jose Ramirez that, yeah, it might have been some truth. He might have been, because he was moving around like Flash Gordon. The straps on his shoes kept coming off. I thought they had wings on them. But when I look at the numbers, Devin, think about this. It's 36 minutes in a fight. 36 minutes in a fight. Half of 70 is 35. Think about this. 36 minutes. You got 12 3-minute rounds. The dude landed 70 punches out of 224. Mostly when it comes down to like power punches, and he's a jabber. When it comes down to power punches, they say that the number is like 40%. 40% would indicate a dominant performance. Now that was total punches. So in 36 minutes, he threw 224 punches and he landed 70 punches. Ramirez threw even more than that and only landed 40. So people applaud him because, oh man, that's defensive special. It's like, yeah, because you know, everybody get this wrong. I think that they treat it like it's supposed to be don't get hit and hit, but that's not the mantra. The mantra is hit and don't get hit. So that means you're supposed to hit more and then don't get hit, but your priority is to hit first. Is to not get hit, because you can't win a fight by just not getting hit. You got to hit. So in 36 minutes, the man landed 70 punches. Now, you got to think about it. Jose Ramirez had just came off of a loss. He just got washed by Arnold Barboza, who Arnold Barboza got washed by T.O. that same night. He got washed by Arnold Barboza. So he was coming off of a loss. Nobody said nothing. He was aged. They started bringing up his outside of the ring stuff, which I don't get into, but they were saying he was drinking and all this. This is what media was saying. I don't care. That's that man's personal business. He grown. He been doing this. He can sell. He can, sell tickets. I always used to talk about Jose Ramirez like this. I said, man, this man had turned down more title opportunity than most people will ever see or come across in their whole career. Why? Because he used to sell out in California. See, if you can sell, that's what I was telling y'all about earlier when I was talking about Tank. The fail-safe proof thing was always to where if you can put butts in seats, you're always going to be able to get a check. Why? Because people are going to come out and see you. They want to see you perform. So Devin had a 31%. That's the second fight. So when you come out and you go to a basketball game, I always joke around and say this. They always say defense this and defense that. But if you go to a football game and you see them kick nothing but field goals, it's going to be hard. It's going to be, nice because it's like, damn, to see somebody defensively do that. But you're going to be pissed off. Why? Because you want to see some hit sticks. You want to see somebody get Randy Mossed. You want to see somebody get burnt. You want to see somebody get juked. You want to see somebody do like Saquon did when he jumped over somebody and straddled somebody and turned around and spin moved and all that. The way Adrian Peterson, one of my favorite running back, the way Barry Sanders, my most favorite running back, the way Michael Vick used to run. You want to see all of that, which leads to and culminates in a high-scoring, high-action, entertaining fight. You don't want to see nothing but field goals, but only in boxing do we reward that. Being a Teflon Don is one thing where you can't be touched. You can't be, because we've seen how judging can come into it. Because we've seen where O'Shaquie Foster on the same night as Shakur Stevenson, they pretty much had the same performance, only the judges said that O'Shaquie lost and they gave it a concession. And in that same fight, you hear Wally Moses say, hey, listen, man, stop this guy, man. Like, stop playing around, man. Get this guy out of here. You seen what they did to O'Shaquie. Same performance, but because of you a people's darling, you get the nod. You get the decision. You get the decision. You get, because you got everybody backing you. Jay Prince and Eddie Hearn and all these other, like, you see in the same night. The same performance, but judging came into play. And being a Teflon Don was not rewarded. This is where we at. Where David Benavidez could come out and stop. He stopped his last two guys. Two of the most experienced guys. One of the most experienced guys up there at light heavyweight. And then a guy that was at light heavyweight, moved up to cruiserweight, had success, was unified. He stops him. He get more criticism than anything. It makes no sense. But then I look at his last fight, and this is the fight where I said, you know what? I got to ease up off Devin. Why? Because I did not think he was going to get in the ring with a killer like Brian Norman. I also didn't know that Brian Norman really, like, he didn't, like, the moment, like, it was just the moment. He explained it or whatever, and I respect what he said or whatever, but I didn't really believe that he was going to go in there with the game plan that he had, and that the movement and being able to cut the ring off. This is the same reason why I say, listen, man, we haven't seen Boots against another mover since Karen. This is going to be the first time, just like T, I always say, man, if you don't fix them windshield wipers right, it's all fine when the sun's shining. But when it rains again, we're going to figure out whether or not you fix them windshield wipers, and then we're going to see. So we're not going to see until Brian Norman get in there with another mover as to whether or not he fixed him. We saw when T.O. got in there with a guy, you know what I'm saying, that can move and do whatever. Like, even though T.O. didn't even get aggressive or whatever, T.O. never fixed his windshield wipers. We're going to see if Boots fixed his windshield wipers going in there against a mover, somebody that can stick and move, punch while moving and all that. We're going to see that again. And people say, oh, man, it's going to be a blowout. Like, I'm like, nah, movers are movers. But we're going to see. So we didn't know. I didn't know because we seen, you know, Brian Norman against the Quentin Randalls and all that. And even though he got a unanimous decision, people were still shitting on him, talking about his feet. You know what I'm saying? Not having good feet and doing this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure his father got him working on it. They got him doing this and all that. When the fight came up, it looked like the stage got a little bit too bright, right? Brian Norman got in his own head. Maybe was reading a little bit of the paper clippings. He even said it. His newspaper clippings. He gets dropped in the second round. I was shocked. I said, what? And then he proceeds to put his hands in his pockets. I said, what? It's just like when Jamel moved up to Canelo. We already knew that offensively was your best shot to win. It wasn't because you was going to be in there doing your best Floyd Mayweather impersonation, doing the shoulder roll and dipping and moving and pivoting and doing all of that, sticking and moving. That was not going to be it. It was going to be you being able to enact your offense on the other guy, and the fact that you got power, that you can wear somebody down, you can go to the body, you got the kill shot, you got the eraser. That was your chance. It was not your defensive prowess. And once again, when we look at that, when we look at Brian Norman's numbers, putrid numbers. And that's my guy. 50 of 299. 36 minutes. It's 36 minutes. You landed 50 punches in 36 minutes. Out of 300. 15%. Horrible numbers. Devin, not too much better in 36 minutes. Think about what I'm saying, y'all. That's 2 punches a minute. That's 2 punches a minute. Out of 271, that's 26%. So efficiency, bad. Bad. This ain't baseball. This ain't baseball. You get 3 strikes. I think what you get 3 strikes, 5 balls. This ain't baseball, y'all. These numbers are putrid. So I'm like, why would Tim Bradley be up here co-signing the fact that this guy getting ready to get 100 M's unless it was some political shit? Like, why? Based on these numbers, it don't work like that in basketball. You fuck around and go, you think about it, y'all. Think about that, y'all. Look at these numbers, man. In basketball, you go 15%. You starting a full, you go 15%. And think about in football with completions. You go 15% on your completions. Wide receiver, you go 15% in your catches. Why is it so different in boxing? And you don't got the eraser. You hurt the man. You knocked it down. You had him hurt, and then you were scared to finish him off when the lights was too big. What would dictate 100 M's? I'm saying if they're going to give you the money, take it. But you just duck Rolly. You were the A-side. You could have sent Keyshawn an offer. Or he claimed to be an A-side too. He could have sent you an offer. I don't know how that worked between them, especially with Jay Prince being involved. Because if you look at Jay Prince and him having Abdullah up under the wing, him having Keyshawn up under the wing, and him having Shakur up under the wing, All three of them moving totally different. And Abdullah being the youngest, the least experienced, the most green, is moving the most proper. So I don't know how that work with anybody that's with Jay Prince. I don't know. I'm not sure. But when I look at this, these kind of numbers, this kind of history over your last 3 fights, and a lot of people give him credit because of Lomachenko. Well, they didn't sell out with Lomachenko, and arguably a lot of people had Lomachenko actually winning that fight. I actually had Lomachenko barely losing. You know why? Because he took out the last round being cocky, thinking that he had it in the bag. And Devin had a late surge, you know, later on in the game. So I actually say Devin edged it. Even though I can see how people would say Lomachenko won, but they give him a lot of credit for that. He didn't sell out. And then you remember when he got in the ring, the same way Shakur got in the ring with him and Devin got out the ring, when he got in the ring with Lomachenko looked up at him and said, oh, he's a middleweight. So people give him credit for being a weight bully and coming down, but they'll turn right around and say that David Benavidez has been a weight bully. But guess what? David Benavidez has finally moved up to the weight class or the 2 weight classes where he should be at. Devin has yet to go to 154 where we know he should be at. And there's all the speculation about whether or not Boots stuck him, whether or not Xander. He didn't jump up there. He didn't do that. He didn't bet on himself. He didn't even want to fight Rolly, but he celebrated when Rolly beat Ryan. That's why I knew it was. That's why I said, yeah, you ain't trying to fight Rolly. You talked all that stuff. You said all the money was good. That was the first thing you said. We've never heard Devin and them say, oh yeah, the money was right. The first thing out in public, they would never say that. They're gonna hold their hand. They're gonna hide their hand. They're gonna keep their poker face. They're gonna give you the run around. They're gonna use the boxing voice to spread all this bullshit and play all these narratives. And then because of numbers. That's why they say it's safety in numbers. All that bullshit they behind a big ass safety net because they got a lot of numbers. People echoing the same bullshit over and over again. Instead of breaking it down, raw, rough, rugged facts. These are the numbers. What in your right mind, if you think about Floyd and how he performed and who he fought, versus this and this speculation, it's no comparison. Even if you look at the little guy from Baltimore and how he actually puts the butts in the seats, he got a 93.33% knockout ratio, and everybody hate him or don't have nothing good. I seen Julian Hammerhead Rodriguez talking about take your tampon out. I said, man, people fight hyping them. They just let people say whatever the fuck they want about Tank. But you can't even tell the truth on Devin. You can't tell the truth on Shakur. And it wasn't until Bud actually hung up the glove to where people started telling the truth on him. And I said, that's them hindsight of 2020 people. They're going to wait till after you hang them up and then they're going to shit all over you and start telling the truth. Not over here. We're going to tell the truth each and every day. Every time we are blessed, the universe blesses us to get up and be able to speak, have air in our lungs, the ability to speak, walk, function, think, critically think. We're gonna speak the truth, even if it ain't the prettiest. That's how life is. So did I say that he said the money was right? Joseph Jackson, shut your dumb ass up. We ain't got nothing but trolls. Nobody actually got no critically thinking. It's just a bunch of zombies painting narratives. I didn't never say the money was right. I ain't even start breaking down what Tim said. I said he was on vacation speculating that, yeah, it may be some truth. It may be some truth to the fact that, yeah, he's going to get the 100 M's. B triple, another zombie. Y'all not listening. Y'all are not listening. This is not the channel for you. Y'all not listening. Y'all not keeping it up. How many times you did the 3rd grade, Holmes? You're not listening to anything I said. I applaud Devin if they're going to give him the 100 M's. I'm saying buy the numbers. In other sports, When you got Stephen A. Smith wouldn't have a job if he didn't break down the numbers. I'm going by the numbers. And I'm saying, where is this going to take our sport to where you're going to give you 100 M? Pretty much people going to be in there just standing around looking. I said in 36 minutes, you landed 70 punches in your last 2 fights. In your last 2 fights, in 36 people coming out, they paying their money, they getting tickets. They catching the bus, plane, train, automobile, no matter what. They coming in, they getting popcorn, they buying drinks, they booking hotels, they coming in to see you for 36 minutes and you landing 70 punches in your last 2 fights. That do not add up to somebody getting ready to pay you 100 M's. What you gonna go? You can't go down no more. Unless you're looking at what the opponent's doing. So in 36 minutes, Jose Ramirez threw 40 punches. That dictates the level of your competition at that point in time. What are y'all talking about? You're not going to gaslight me. I'm already lit. By the numbers, the way we look at basketball, the way we look at football, the way we look at all of these other things. And this is more critical because you get hit in the head. So yes, you do want to decrease the times you get hit and you want to be more offensive and have more offensive output. But for somebody to buy a ticket, like when I went up to Atlantic City to go see Boots, I'd have been pissed off if Boots wound up stopping Stan Giannis in 6 rounds. I was ecstatic about it. He looked better than he ever looked. But by the numbers, that don't dictate 100 M's. That don't dictate no 100. It don't dictate no 100 M's. You missing the point. And I said he didn't bet on himself against Rolly, a fight that would sell. Why didn't he do it? Because he never sell. He didn't sell out when he was against Regis. He didn't even when Loma was the bigger name, the more accomplished guy, all that Olympic pedigree, accolade soup and all that. They didn't sell out with Loma. And Loma was the hot item ticket. By the time he got in the ring with Loma 2 years before that, he said Loma was too small and too old. Then fight him 2 years later, and this is what we got. He barely eked it out. They didn't sell out. This is definitely not like yesteryear, man. Like where we had gladiators. We had people that really wanted it, people that cared about how the fans felt. Now we got fans up here defending bullshit because they want to put on knee pads and spray throat coats and use reach around extenders for certain boxers that they love. If it's your family, I understand, get your money because somehow you're going to get some of that money or somehow you're going to get the clout or the famous or be able to take a picture or be able to see your comment up under their video saying, yeah, man, I was riding for you, man. The black man, the biggity black man, but y'all play that black man on code, all that bullshit for the fighter that y'all want to. Because the people that's really doing what they're supposed to do, moving how they're supposed to move, you don't give them no credit. You discredit them. But be nice to the other guys. Knock it off. Knock it off. It didn't sell out, bro. Like I said, you got your knee pads on extra tight, Holmes. I ain't knocking you, man. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. I gotta get something for y'all, man, so we can get into the things that really matter, man. I got the remedy right here. Here we go. And I wanted to be completely transparent. Okay, so I got it now. Let me just let this load up. Yeah, because they have, I went into how they have control of social media right now. So he controls the printed page, controls the thinking of this age. So anybody that's affiliated with Turkey, anybody got their mouth wide open, wanting a turkey bag, wanting all that, they not going to tell the truth. That's why I say some of y'all are lost. I don't even know why y'all over here. You know what I'm saying? We don't say things just to be sloppy and messy and clout and all that. We breaking it down by the numbers. You can't dictate. You can't tell me. You can't tell me that, you know, if you was a businessman and you had 100 M's, you would just toss it. Like Devin is not even, he's a professional. And yes, he had success. You know, more success than most people will ever have, no matter what career they in. And yes, his father has done a great thing. Y'all are missing the point. Y'all are reducing it down to it sound like somebody hating. The very first thing I said when I started this presentation was like, hey, if you get that money, salute to you. Salute to you for doing it. I'm talking about the numbers. But some of y'all got y'all heads so far up the Haney's asses that y'all can't see what the hell is going on. Wipe your goggles off. Wipe your mouth. But I wanted to be transparent in some of the ways, like some of the ways that I do it, when I'm doing my research and putting together, because I'll be wanting to be right and intact or whatever. And I put together things that, even some things that are adverse to what I'm actually saying, just to be balanced. Like, you're not getting this from any other channel. For real, for real. So this will show you like my logic, and I wanted to be transparent because I hope people copy this. I hope people do exactly what I'm doing, so that your depth of knowledge and like the depth you have when it comes down to boxing won't just be waving the pom-pom for somebody. You will actually use your critical thinking skills. It's something that's not taught in most schools today. It's memorization and regurgitation. Oh, you remember Bill saying this, so then you just gonna regurgitate that. Oh, you remember the Haney voice saying this, so you're just gonna regurgitate that. Oh, you remember Tim Bradley saying that, you just gonna regurgitate that. Never using the brain that your parents gave you to critically think about it. Never doing it. So I hope people copy this. I hope they see this. I hope they do. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Boxing is not dead, but the reward system has changed. I always say that boxing is always thriving, right? I always look at boxing like 80-20. It's 80% good things going on, because as long as you can lace up a pair of gloves and get in the ring and fight and earn a check enough to where you can sustain yourself, maybe get a house, you know, take care of your family and all that, boxing is in a great place. It's just the eyeballs are not focused on what they need to be. Everything is name brand. Everything is like, it's just like the US and their infatuation with foreign. So I'm not saying that it's dead. I'm saying it is 80% good, just like most things in life. I think it's yin and yang. I think it's a equally good energy, equally bad energy. It's just we focus on the bad energy. We focus on the car crash. We focus on a baby, something happened to a baby out here. We focus on predators and all that. But they're just as good. We don't focus on people that's getting a raise, people that's getting a degree, people that's doing, you know, things and breaking barriers and all that. We don't focus. But the 20% that's bad, because social media is the way it is and the power of influence is the way it is, and people are so infatuated by money, you can be bought. I got a tattoo that say "not for sale." I'm not for sale. You can't buy me. It's not a price big enough. But the way that we're going and the trends that we're going, I'm going to prove to you that boxing is headed, and I've already been doing it. And it's funny, I'm going to say this before I even get into this. I'm going to say this. I was telling people years ago that Blue Blood, he was bad. Like, man, the dude is a clown. He's this and this and that. People are like, oh, no, you just hating all that. Now people are coming around and saying it. I was telling y'all that BF, I was like, he's bad. Like, he just, he's contradictory. He's doing this, he's doing that. And I used to be over there rocking. I was like, nah, I can't really get with it. Once I'm rocking with you, and then you start showing me repeatedly, day after day after day, that you got an agenda and that you're not keeping the same energy, and you don't judge other guys the same way you judge your guy, you protect your guy, and you do all this other stuff, and you don't have the same criticism, then you bad. People are just now coming around acknowledging, oh yeah, you on some bullshit. It's funny how when I say it, it don't get no credit. It's just I be ahead of the time. I be ahead of the curve. I was telling y'all that Trump side, that he wasn't shit. I started seeing that, and I used to go over there and frequent this channel. But like I said, when I start showing and telling y'all that these guys, they be contradicting themselves. They don't keep the same energy. It is an agenda. Why? Because you want to get paid. That's not right. Why? Because you don't keep the same energy. That means that you out here being on code for somebody, but not being on code for somebody else. And they in the same bracket. And the guy that you're not being on code for, he has more validity in the sport than the guy that you putting on knee pads for. So when I was saying chump side and I stopped listening to him, I started calling him chump side. You can go back on my video. That's why I do shit like this, where I put stakes in the ground. Now people are coming around the shit and say, oh, it's funny how when I be saying it, I ain't right, I ain't on enough, and like, oh man, you just acting whatever. But they come around. It might be a month later, it might be 2 years later, 3 years later, 6 months later, they come around and say, now they, oh yeah, man, you be cooking. This shit been said. It's been laid on wax. Why? Because, as my man AC say, man, I can recognize the patterns. And I'm bold enough to actually come out and say, nah, man, like, having a memory like an elephant, having a photographic memory as well, it's like, And then being in the troubleshooting game, being at HVAC, when you have to troubleshoot and you have to look at patterns and figure out, okay, what's wrong and what's going on. I've gotten accustomed to being able to say, hey, man, what's going on with this? Or how was this? And so when I see the pattern, it's like, nah, okay, this is the problem. This is the problem right here. The problem is y'all are too scared to tell the truth. And I'm not going to be, I don't like when people, there's some people that I know, there's some people that I rock with, they be on code, and they be on code because, oh, nah, man, it's just a young black, but we can't do that, though. We can't do it. We can't be on code and ignore it, because I always say silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So you remain silent on some shit that ain't right, then you co-signing it. You got an uncle in your family, he doing some shit that you know he shouldn't be doing, and you don't say nothing because that's your uncle, you wrong. You should suffer the same punishment as him. That's what I do on this channel. So if you don't rock with that, bye. I don't give a fuck. I always tell you, I'm not trying to be the Drake. I don't care about popularity. I don't care if you just want to come over here and regurgitate some shit you heard somewhere else. You're not using your critical thinking skills, and you're bad for the sport. Just being casual. Move on. This is for hardcores. We're a niche inside of a niche. So it's not going to come across, it's not going to be the most popular. People are not going to be jumping for joy for a lot of the shit that come across the screen when we actually be cooking. It's just not going to happen. That's not even our goal. That's not our aspirations. Could we do it? Are we creative enough to do it? Yeah, we could be sloppy and messy and hypocritical and flip-floppy just like everybody else that come on in the morning at 10 o'clock and 9 o'clock. We could be just as messy and flip-floppy and double standard as them. Full of game and full of shit just like them. We're not doing it. how pugilism has fallen. The art of fighting versus the business of surviving. See, now people are getting in the ring, like I told you. 70 punches landed in 36 minutes. You surviving, Holmes. You can clap. It's boxing because, yeah, you in that field, but you're not boxing. A presentation on how modern boxing increasingly rewards caution branding. Safety first fighters, y'all. And contract leverage over crowd-pleasing content. You're not pleasing the crowd. They don't even care about pleasing the crowd. When I heard some of my favorite fighters say, oh, man, fuck the fans, man. I mean, they not, oh, yeah, the guys over in the UK, they more blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but you take that shit over to the UK, guess what happened? They gonna hit you with some brownies, and they might even throw a bottle or a can at your ass. You say that now, but they want meat. They want action. Like, they always talk about somebody being negative. And I broke that down on another episode. Negative is the way that, like, Shakur and Devin fight, to where it's like minimum output, you know, safety first, you know, but oh yeah, all that shit that's gonna keep your faculties in order and all that. But it's not crowd pleasing. It's not gonna sell tickets. It's not. It's efficient to a certain extent, but how efficient is it? When you landing at 26%, 17%, how efficient is it? It's not really efficient. You're getting the job done, but you're not moving the needle. Core comparison: Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, and modern low output wins versus Floyd Mayweather's must-see business model and the gladiator eras before him. So we're not just talking about Floyd. Did Floyd rob the bank? I don't know. You get what you negotiate. So it's crazy how, for Floyd's style and how he fought, when he said, yeah, I'm robbing the bank, people criticized him. But now we got boxers that's doing way less activity, way less crowd pleasing. They get ready to get the same thing, and they're not robbing the bank? How, Sway? How? It don't make no sense. This is the thesis, and I want y'all to copy this. I want y'all to see my logic. So when you go in there, you use your ChatGPT, you use your AI, whatever research you're doing, whatever tools you got, use this shit. Use everything. That's why I said I want them to leave everything in here. Everything I came up with, everything I'm in development, I want them to leave all of that into this presentation. Why? So you can copy the shit. So you can look at it. So you can be like, oh, okay, all right, I see how they think. Okay, well, damn, that's a good point. Something. I don't care if it's one thing. I want you to put something in your rucksack and march on with. Modern elite boxing increasingly rewards low-risk business efficiency over gladiator-style entertainment. This is a gladiator sport, y'all. That's my personal note. That is the cleanest way to frame the argument without sounding emotional or nostalgia only. That's why I didn't want to sound emotional. The evidence base is measurable. Punch output, engagement levels, the pay-per-view culture, crowd reaction, matchmaking frequency, risk aversion. Fighters are risk averse now. They're not gonna fight nobody. Why would I do that? Why would I? Now you got fans saying, why would he fight him? Because he might get his ass knocked out. That's why. But if you know what you're doing, you're gonna mitigate his best thing and you're gonna get yours off. He ain't gonna be able to get his off. You're gonna please the crowd, because if you don't know what you're doing, he's gonna knock your ass out. Risk averse and declining mainstream relevance. It ain't even no relevancy now. Anytime ESPN was like, hey man, we're gonna move on from Top Rank. Top Rank? I wonder why. And it's also a thing called a Top Rank diet. They don't say a PBC diet. And we just saw when PBC just had their last card, they were like, man, people was in their match tough as hell. You ain't getting no easy shit over there with PBC. They are not giving you no diet. Hey, if he dies, he dies. That's what it like. Or you gonna come up. You're gonna be a star. The cream gonna rise to the crop. But I've never heard nobody say, oh man, you on that PBC diet. We hear people say you on that Top Rank diet though. Oh yeah. In Matchroom, boy, some of the, you talking about matchmaking, I think they study from Top Rank playbook. The Haney example supports the argument. After Devin Haney defeated Jose Ramirez in 25, the fight was heavily criticized across boxing media for historically low activity and entertainment value. Nobody was entertained with that shit. Jim Lampley had said something. They tried to come on there and check Jim Lampley. They were like, listen, man, we did not know. Yeah, we thought he might have had a little, but Jim Lampley, the great Jim Lampley, if you want to call him great, he was roasting the shit out of him. I know Turkey was like, hey man, get him off. Like, what is he talking about, man? No, he was being truthful. He was being truthful, like we all should be. Haney landed roughly 70 punches while Ramirez landed roughly 40 over 12 rounds. Only 503 punches were thrown combined in 12 rounds. CompuBox reported as the fourth lowest punch is thrown in 12-round fights in history. It don't work like, man, you see some shit like that in basketball, you see some shit like that in football, the number, ain't nobody gonna be buying no tickets, man. They're not coming to see that shit. Period. The money versus production problem. The speculation of Devin Haney getting $100 million after a performance where he landed only 71 punches frames the concern perfectly. So I frame my concern. Modern fighters can still receive elite level money. We talking about elite level money where you the best of the best. Well, we're gonna pay you all this because you're that elite. And commercial backing despite historically low offensive production. Historically low, y'all. You breaking records for the wrong reason, Holmes. That is a major contrast from the eras of Sugar Ray Leonard. All these boxing historians, they love some Sugar Ray Leonard. They love some Tommy Hearn. They love some Marvin Hagler. They love some Roberto Duran. They love some Mike Tyson. And then they'll tell you that these guys are better than those guys. How, Sway? You make no sense because a lot of y'all be like, yeah, man, back in the day, yeah, if you talking about back in the day, you talking about anybody I just mentioned, and then you got on knee pads for what these guys are doing today, you a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. Back then, action, danger, a public excitement were directly tied to star power. This is why you got people online arguing whether or not you a star. The proof is in the pudding, because when the tickets go on sale and they be like, oh, nope, ain't no more tickets left. That's the proof in the pudding. It's not people arguing on YouTube about, oh, man, well, he's a star. I heard on the Boxing Voice yesterday, the conversation went from, is this speculation about the 100 M's and he's about to get this to where, well, he's in the Hall of Fame. Move the goalpost. We're not talking about whether or not somebody's in the Hall of Fame. It's a lot of guys. Tim Bradley got in the Hall of Fame. Does that mean he was worth 100 M's? He fought the great Manny Pacquiao. But I'm gaslighting. Nah, you can't gaslight me. I'm already lit. The media reaction. The fight felt empty. Multiple media outlets called Haney versus Ramirez dreadful. One of the worst fights in listless. Bad Left Hook noted that the performance likely would have drawn heavy boos in a normal arena setting. It wasn't even a normal arena setting. So it wasn't no crowd. Like, they was out there on the streets of New York where it was still kind of chilly back then. I watched the fight. I think you can argue whether it was Devin, whether it was T.O. or Rolly. And I think because Rolly upset the uppercut, and a lot of people didn't see him doing that to Ryan that night. You know what I'm saying? But you can argue that T.O. probably had the best performance. But because Rolly did what he did to Ryan, which was like unexpected, you could probably say Rolly probably had the best performance. And Rolly said, being from the PBC, they didn't pay for his hotel. His accommodations was all jacked up and all that. So if it would have been a normal arena, man, we would have heard some boos. This is history, y'all. This is a stake in the ground. I don't give a fuck who don't like it. The key presentation point, this is the key point. Winning technically is not the same as delivering value to paying fans. It's not like being technical. If you gotta sit up there and have an expose, what you don't really understand is what you did, because that don't happen in football. You don't gotta be like, you don't gotta sit back and say, oh, well, listen, man, this is what Lamar Jackson was doing, or nah, man, Jalen Hurts, he was not. Well, this was really what Tom Brady was really trying. You don't gotta do all that. The proof is in the pudding. You ain't got if it gives value, you don't gotta go through all of that. Like, oh no, you don't know shit about box. You don't gotta go through all that when it delivers value. But people are like, oh shit, my juices are flowing. Like you know when you used to watch a Rocky movie or you used to watch one of the karate movies, after you see that shit, you will go outside, you might get your ass busted, but after you saw it, you was like, yeah, man, I could do this, I could do that. That's what value is. Fans be like, yes, I came out, I saw somebody get knocked out, I saw, like, even if you was a defensive specialist, I saw it like, man, I got a lot of action. It wasn't like, oh man, I didn't fall asleep. They showing people like Bud falling asleep at the fight. Like, what is that? That's not value. Especially if that's your man's. He watching your fight, but he in the stands falling asleep. You could be as technically sound as you want, but if people in the stands falling asleep, they bought those tickets. Those tickets had value. If they didn't buy them and they got comp, that ticket, that seat had a value attached to it. You didn't do enough to keep the person awake in boxing. We ain't talking about golf. We ain't talking about baseball, badminton. We talking about boxing. Where people get sent to the upper room for not being defensively sound. This is where pugilism begins to fail. When market value and fan value no longer line up. That's so your market value, what they saying you were versus the fan value, how they perceive it. When that don't line up, that's when boxing is starting to get fucked up. And this is the path that we're going down. Shakur Stevenson, apology matters. After Shakur Stevenson fought Edwin De Los Santos, CompuBox recorded historically low punch numbers. And I got something on this. You know what's so crazy? People are celebrating like, yeah, because we getting ready to see an inactive, overweight De Los Santos fight. My guy, Ryu. And people are happy about that rematch. But a fight, and mind you, yeah, it was a drop, right? Ryu dropped De Los Santos in that fight, and De Los Santos wound up stopping him. The ref had to come in and console Ryu. Great fight while it lasted. Lots of activity. People are excited about that. You know why? Because it's with Zuffa. And everybody's on this campaign to usher people over to the Zuffa and all this. But we getting ready to see it inactive. Edwin De Los Santos don't even look the same. If you do a side-by-side of that guy, right? Like before he fought Shakur, and then you do a side-by-side with a picture of him now, you wouldn't even think they were the same person. People are more excited about that. But a CompuBox low, they justify why Shakur didn't have to rematch that guy. Why? Oh man, he did that with a hurt hand and all this. It was a CompuBox low. This is where fans have gotten to where y'all are actually campaigning, fighting for, protecting, arguing, debating. Which fight should we see again? De Los Santos? Well, De Los Santos stopped El Rayo before. Stopped him. Shakur set a historically low CompuBox output with De Los Santos, and there's no demand for it. And people are like, why? Bias. You got on knee pads for your favorite fighter. The rematch we should have been got was the De Los Santos versus Shakur. We shouldn't be seeing no overweight, out of shape De Los Santos just because y'all want to co-sign and y'all want to act like y'all part of the go along, get along gang, and y'all don't want to be left out of any reindeer game. So now y'all are actually co-signing the fact that he going over to Zuffa to fight Ryu. Knock it off. Reports noted only 40 punches landed by De Los Santos, the fewest by a fighter in 12-round fight in CompuBox 38-year history, bro. It was an anomaly, bro. This was coming off, this was weeks after Regis set that historically low fight with him and Zorilla. Zorilla had dropped him and everything. Fans booed loudly throughout the bout. Fans was booing, y'all. And Stevenson publicly apologized afterwards. So you can say, oh man, you hating on this. Why did Shakur apologize afterwards? The report message was simple. Fans came to see a great performance. They wanted to see a great performance, not you just getting by. Like, how many of y'all going to, I see this all the time in the profession I'm in. I got to go into hospitals, medical facilities. And then even when I'm not, like, don't you hate when you go somewhere and people are just there on the clock? They're just doing barely enough to get by. Like, they ain't doing no more, no less. They ain't doing no customer service. They ain't doing none of that. They just there to be like, man, I did my 8 hours. So minimum, like, no, I'm not doing nothing. I'm not reaching over to hand you this cup. No, I'm not going to go and check one more time to see if I overlook this label. They're just doing barely enough. See, in the real world, we hate when we go somewhere and we get that kind of customer service, or we dealing with somebody that's doing barely enough. Why are we accepting it in boxing? Why are you co-signing it? If you ain't got nothing, if you don't want to say nothing bad, sometimes, okay, you could just be quiet about it. But then again, silence is consent. But why do we hate it in real life? You pull up the Chick-fil-A and they don't put enough ice in there, or they put too much ice and it ain't enough lemonade. You gonna say something, right? But not in boxing. Oh man, that young brother, man, he getting paid. All the shit that's irrelevant. We don't give a fuck about how much they getting paid, for real, for real. We want them to get paid handsomely because we seen, things like what happened with the G-Man and what Conor Ben, like, stupid ass, him and Conor Ben, they be doing that stupid ass back of the head punching and all that. We seen what happened. So we want you to get paid handsome. We seeing James Lights Out Tony and how he's speaking. He's still active and all that. So we want you to get paid. But we don't really give a fuck at the end of the day. Why? Because we can't dictate that. We can either buy the fight, we could buy the pay-per-view, we can come see you fight, we can support, we can do whatever, but we don't really have nothing to do with how much you're getting paid. We just want to see a great performance. We want to be entertained. Why Floyd Mayweather is the perfect comparison. And he kind of changed the game. See, this is why a lot of people attribute him to why fighters are scared to lose they owe, and why they are so selective in their matchmaking, because they're trying to be like Floyd. The thing is, you can't be like Floyd. It was only one Floyd Mayweather. Shakur is not the next Floyd Mayweather. Boots is not the next Roy Jones. Shakur is Shakur. Boots is Boots. Roy Jones was who he was. Floyd was who he was. Manny Pacquiao, there'll never be another one. Tank, there'll never be another one. You got the Jersey Vargas, you got the Camaro Moten. I think it hurt Camaro Moten because Camaro Moten actually got style and personality and charisma. It hurts him to try to label him and put him in the same vein as Tank. He's not Tank, he's Carmel. That's what we got to understand. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is complicated because both sides of the debate can use him. You can use both sides now. This is why I wanted to use him. He was defensive, but he sold massive events. He fought elite names. Now people are trying to pick, choose, and refuse. They got their fans out here doing their bidding. Their fans to argue tooth and nail. Like, why the fuck was you co-signing Devin fighting Jose Ramirez? He just got washed by Honor Barbosa. Nobody said nothing. He generated emotional investment. Whether you want to see him win or see him lose, you was invested. And he created spectacle. Like, if he's going to be able to stand right in front of this Cobra and not get bit, he will show you every time. Yep. Like what he did to Canelo. Prime example. Mayweather consistently fought champions in Hall of Fame level opposition. So the same thing y'all be crediting Devin for, oh man, he fought more champions, ex-champions. That's what Floyd was doing. But guess what? The champions that Floyd fought, they was more in the game. Like, they was more like notable. They had already done, like, man, listen, if you go back, the comparisons are like, man, the fact that the man got under. People want to hang on to one accolade, the undisputed accolade when he fought Cambosis. They want to hang on to that, and then Loma, who he said 2 years before was too old and too small. He took away from it. That's why I say these guys be taking away from their own victories when they shit on their opponent before they even fight them. Saying the stuff that they say is like, well, okay, well, you said that about him. You said he was too old, too small. Fight somebody your size. Fight somebody your age. We got Brian Norman and we got Ryan. We seen what happened with Ryan. He passed the test with Brian Norman. But the way he did it, it didn't move the needle. It helped me like to get off his back because I was like, damn, I didn't see that coming with Brian Norman. It helped me. But we're not, when we be comparing and when you be talking about he better than Floyd and he this, is like, man, you gotta stop, man. You gotta stop, man. Y'all need to be stopped out here, man. Y'all need somebody, no matter how unpopular, no matter how hurtful, no matter how much it hurt your feelings, because we talking about your little Debbie poo, no matter what. Like, we gotta be real, man. Like, the dude is not doing anything comparable to what Floyd. If Floyd wanted to be undisputed, you don't think he could have done it? Some people don't want to do that shit. And it's funny how when Floyd was saying, oh man, like the belts and this and this and that, why he would win them and then drop them because he didn't want to, he was in a higher bracket as far as getting paid. He didn't want to pay all of that. They do the same thing to Tank right now. Like if he didn't want, like Tank, Cambosis would have fought Tank. Tank said, I'll fight him, but he can keep them belts. Why? He was just getting to the money, and he was like, man, I'm not paying all that to do this. But when he said it, he was wrong. Only for Bud and Shakur to say it, and now they all right, and oh, wow, and people like Eureka, like they the first ones to say it. Floyd was saying it before. Tank was saying it before, but they were wrong and bastardized. I wonder why. Because they was with the PBC. Yeah, they was with the PBC. But when the media darling like Bud and Shakur start saying it, oh man, they is absolutely right, and they got the whole media behind them and all this and all that. Now it's like, oh, Eureka, like, yeah, we see what you're saying. It's like, knock it off, man. Knock it off. Y'all don't really keep it a buck. Y'all got some double standard. The difference, Floyd's fights felt important, even when they were tactical. Even when they were tactical. Castillo, Diego Corrales, Maidana, after what Maidana did to AB, Zab Judah, Chop Chop, Pacquiao, Oscar. Come on, y'all. Modern fighters imitate the safety, not the aura. Floyd had drama, elite opponents, major stakes, and cultural significance. Modern critics argue some current stars copy safety without replicating the charisma, matchmaking, crowd magnetism, or superstar aura. So they want to be compared to him, and they do this a lot of time with Shakur and all that. Like, yeah, okay, being defensively oriented, yes, they're cousins in that aspect. But as far as the performance and what they're giving, they're not. They're not. Because if Floyd smelt weakness or whatever, and he knew he gonna tee off on you, he gonna get you out of there. His hands probably was hurting worse or just as bad as Shakur's is, but he's still gonna put on a show. He's gonna go. Shakur and them, they just like, man, I'm just doing enough to just get out of here, escape with my dub. I'm out. I'm just doing barely enough. That's to us fans. That's why I understand like the mixed messages that other fans put on E-Pass trying to defend the shit. Like, are you a fan or not? Are you on outsiders fans or not? Do you want to see a great performance or not? Or you want that barely customer service? That barely customer service where they give you a drink and then you gotta ask for a straw, knowing damn well if you hand me a cup, it need to have a straw with it. Come on. But no, we gotta ask for it. That's what we're doing. We gotta ask for it. Like when the boxing fan, we gotta ask for the straw now with the boxing fan. Like, can you entertain us a little bit, man? I know you. We don't want you to get. Then they gaslight you and say, "Oh man, you just want me to stand there and get hit in the head." It's like, no, Dumbo. We don't want you to stand there and get hit in the head. We want to see you try. We want to see you perform. We want to see you entertain. That's what Floyd was doing. That distinction is essential. Defense is not the problem by itself. We want you to be defensively responsible. We want you to protect your Abdullah Oblongata. Your Abdullah. Your Abdullah. One of the smartest young fighters. Nah, your medulla oblongata. The problem is low risk fighting being commercially pushed without the same entertainment return. You got low risk fighting being commercially pushed. All these news media outlets, the Ring magazine, all these people that get all this money, Fight Hype, Fight Hub, all this other shit, all the people that they push, all this, and no respect, because I do source their information. They have some great things sometimes, but sometimes the commercial message is getting all pushed. And who's disadvantaged? It all. Because we're not getting entertainment. We're getting all these excuses as to why I shouldn't. Why would I have to do this? Like we heard Shakur say, why do I gotta fight all the guys at 47? I'm like, man, do you know how you sound? Do you know how you sound? The 1980. See, I'm an 80. I was born in December. I barely made it. December 20th, 1980. I'm an 80s baby all the way through. I'll be 46 years old. So I'm looking at it from a different landscape. Some of y'all young, you know what I'm saying? Y'all young bloods. What's up, young blood? You ain't gonna relate to what I'm saying. And I dig it. You know, but if you stick around and you see where boxing is going, you'll understand. If you're a boxing historian, if you go back and you watch the old fights and the styles and all these people that want all of the cachet and all of the credit for being a simulator compared to these old guys, but they don't want to do what these older guys, these gladiators used to do. That's the problem. So you talking to an 80s baby. The 80s are often remembered as a gladiator era because elite fighters repeatedly fought each other. Like they know they wanted their get back. They're not gonna be like, oh man, I got past him. Why would I fight him again? No, they like, no, I want my get back. It's just like how it is in the street. Somebody get out. You have friends where it's like, all right, last time you stole me. Okay, you got the best. All right, this time some shit pop off. You ain't gonna do what you did last time. That's how we grew up. That's how I grew up. Getting on in Maryland, Landover. Damn near walking distance to the stadium where they built that stadium. FedEx. Yeah, that's where I grew up. Yeah, you had to get that get back. Yeah, something like y'all got into it. Yeah, you're gonna have to do that again. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to do this again. It might not be the next time, and yeah, but the next time some shit pop off, we got to get that get back. Now if I was like, why would I fight him again? For what? Why? Like, no. It's like as long as you just barely eke by, it's like, okay, I'm cool. No, not back then. That's what made boxing what it was. And so I always do this because a lot of people, they go beyond their years or whatever. You'll have people talking about shit that happened in the 70s and 60s and they was born in the 90s. It's like the shit don't make sense. That's why I always, whenever I do my research and my information, I stop right at 80 because I'm talking about in my era. Like, yeah, I'll go back further to know what happened and see these fights and that, just like with movies. You know what I'm saying? Because that's Star Wars, E.T., all of that stuff came up then. So yeah, I seen those. I saw those was classic, whatever. But I stick with the time when I came by. I got people like AC who's in a different bracket, so he can go back to the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I can go back to the 80s, but I can correlate things that happen, but I stick to my time frame. So you talking about somebody that was born in 80 and now we in 2026. So I go back to the 80s and I look at every genre when I do my research and I'm like, okay, what can I use from here? What can I use from there? Whatever. Eat the fish, spit out the bones. It don't matter. That's how I do it. The era featured Leonard versus Hearns, Hagler versus Hearns, Duran versus Leonard, and the rise of Mike Tyson. These fighters increased risk to increase greatness. Today, these fighters are risk averse. See, that shit is all right in basketball where you want to preserve yourself and hold your knees and all that, but like in boxing, when you want in the gladiator sport, when you start being risk averse, you get boring, dull fights where ain't no action, ain't nobody really want to fight, and they standing around. I told you, in 36 minutes, somebody land 70 punches. That's not action, boss. That's not action. That's 2 punches a minute. That's like that's a punch landed every 30 seconds. Just one. In boxing. It don't make no sense. Today, many fans believe boxing often maximizes business preservations over legacy risk. So yeah, I understand it's a business. You gotta do what you gotta do. But as far as fans and all that, it's two different arguments. Whether you like this fighter, whether you got whatever interest, you like his backstory, whatever, all that shit is irrelevant. When they say ding, 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 we want action, man. We want to see somebody get knocked out. We want to see somebody overcome adversity. We want to see some hard hitting. We want to see some defensive prowess. We want to see, like, oh, what you been working on in the gym? Oh, man, he got that combination off. Oh, man, he dipped and slipped and rolled. You know what I'm saying? He used the ropes. We want to see all that, but we don't want to see this shit where y'all just in there fencing. You should have been a fencer. Modern boxing has a real relevance problem. A modern Guardian analysis argued boxing is losing younger audiences, especially in the U.S. It's a fact. Like the younger audience, they like, man, nah. They more like the stuff that's going on with AB and Dean. They'll sit around and watch that for 3 hours before they actually go back and watch a real fight, like one of these fights, or rewatch one of these fights. That's why I always talk about when you have a fight in boxing, you want your fight to have what they call playback value. Meaning that when you go back and look at a lot of Floyd fights, they have playback. You look at a lot of Tank fights, they have playback value. The one we might get later on with Pitbull Cruz or whatever, if that's the one, that first fight had playback value. If you never thought Tank could box, if you was one of the ones that say, oh, he don't box, all he do is whatever, which is a lie, you can actually see boxing skills. You can see the full clinic. You can see the pull counter. You can see from the southpaw stance, you can see a lot of things that Floyd used to do and how he was doing it. You can see Tank adapt some of that from a southpaw style and fight that way against Pitbull. A guy who presented more problems because he was just as short. And I think Tank, it's easier to fight taller, bigger guys for Tank than it is to fight the shorter guys. That's more like, that's just my, being a Tank fan, that's just what I've seen. But he figured that shit out. The issues include fewer culturally significant stars, expensive paywalls, fragmented promotion. They're not even promoting this shit right. And confusing championship structures. Oh, this is an interim. Oh, this is what is this for? The interim. Oh, this the silver. Oh, this is, how come that dude got a belt? What belt he got? You know what I'm saying? Unless you really like a hardcore, you don't really understand. You just subject to what your favorite content creator is putting out there. And if your favorite content creator is full of shit, you're gonna get, you know, like how Mr. Gray Russell Jr. say, he's like, man, you ain't gonna food poison the fans. Like, yeah, a lot of the fans be getting food poison. Salute to Mr. Gray Russell, man. One of the best to ever lace him up too. I hope you come back soon again, man. We want to see you. Boxing has also lost mainstream visibility compared with other major sports. Yeah, boxing. It's changing. You got TNT. That's what Abdullah's saying. Boxing gonna be on TNT. You got Prime. You got Netflix. You got the Zone. It's moving around. Some of that is because like people will cut the cord with cable and, you know, things are not the same, but also a lot of it's because of performance. If I'm not even gonna say that because I don't want to sound offensive. But yeah, it is losing mainstream visibility. This supports the concern that the sport's health is in danger if the product becomes less fan friendly. This has been my point all along. This is not a personal indictment on any one fighter, any, you know what I'm saying, whatever. It's not. This is not like, oh yeah, I use some examples just to illustrate my point, but I don't hate none of these guys. These guys get hit in the head for a living. You know what I'm saying? I want them all to get paid. I want them all to go home to their families and have their faculties in order and be able to, you know what I'm saying, pick, choose, and refuse, buy whatever they want. Yeah, I want it for that. Anybody that's doing, you know, what they need to do. The thing is, the vitality of the sport, once that starts being in danger and it starts being less fan friendly, it gets less support. And you're starting to see these networks, they don't even want to be involved. They don't want to, wow, they're like, well, I'm going to do all this. I'm dealing with these divas. They want so much to do so less. You hype them up. You sign them like, look at what T.O. did. All that shit he was talking and all that. He going there and got beat with front foot placement and a jab. He didn't even sell out. And we've seen T.O. sell out. We've seen him do more. We've seen him do more. We've seen him apply himself. The shit look funny. It's messing with the vitality of the sport, and ain't nobody talking about it. Well, there's a couple people talking about it, but they don't get the attention that they deserve. But everybody won't be part of the go along, get along game. The less for more money criticism. This was my criticism. This criticism is common amongst modern boxing fans. Protect undefeated records, avoid stylistic risks, prioritize contracts over legacy, and minimize damage while maximizing payout. And everybody else saying, man, in any job, that's what you want to do. It's like, yes. However, this is the gladiator sport, mind you. So you can argue that dumbass point all you want, but let's go back to what the real is. If you pay your money, not just getting comp tickets or somebody say, I got these tickets for you to go see this. No, when you work your hard-earned money, part of your salary, and you have to go, you have to put gas in your vehicle, you have to drive to somewhere, you have to book a hotel, you got to keep your lady whatever she want and whatever she need. Y'all got to Uber or however y'all gonna get in and do that. Then you got to get drinks and do all this and all that. People are not going there to see y'all fence, man. They want to go in there and see y'all try to tear each other head off. And even if you do it more technically sound with control and all that, they want to see a level of mastery, not safety. Not all, oh man, well, he didn't do that because it's very risky to try to do that. Like, no, they don't want to see that. You can support this by showing low punch outputs. I could have done that. Fewer elite matchups. We've seen it. People are going over to Zuffa to get who? Because I always say, if you go over to Zuffa, they're going to have to bring an opponent over there. And where you're pulling that from? Anybody with any kind of relevancy over here that got a deal, got a belt or whatever, anybody in their right mind is not going to do that. For what? Because they don't even know the future of this. They don't even know what's going on. So, like, you're going to be limited in opponents. Look at what just happened. Instead of Jao Batai standing his ass over there where he was at and not going to Zuffa, we would be getting the David Benavidez fight next. What would he do? He grabbed somebody that was in the same ranking. He was number 10 in the IBF. So why are you, the champion, gonna fight a guy that's number 10 in the IBF and go over to Zuffa to do it? For what? You could stay where you was at and pick that guy and then have David Benavidez next. Well, because everybody want to wipe Zuffa ass and be in good graces with Turkey and Dana and all that, and they want to be playing reindeer games and all that, ain't nobody speaking the truth on that. It don't make no sense. Now you stuck over there. And now David like, man, Zuffa, I'm not going over. I'm not fucking with no Zuffa. What you talking about? And now they saying he ducking. How? All Opatai had to do was stay where he was at. We be getting that fight next. That's how it was advertised. That's why it didn't make sense for him to go over there for Zuffa. He didn't have to go over to Zuffa to get Brandon Gladden. Gladden wasn't even with Zuffa. They signed him to fight Opatai over there. They didn't have to do that. It was an unnecessary step. Ain't nobody talking about that. They just want to shit on David Benavidez. Why? Because he with the PBC. Long story short. There's nothing about David right now and everything that he's been done and the way, the energy he got, how he carry himself, the stuff that he say, you know, all there's nothing about that right now that says that you should be shitting on David Benavidez, especially after he stopped the guy. But then you want to walk around with Shakur's nuts on the back of your neck, with you holding him up on your shoulders because what he did with Tio. It's not the same, bro. It's not the same. Haney versus Ramirez is almost symbolic of this argument. I went over that ad nauseum. The old incentive was become great by proving it. They don't even want to prove it. All they got to do is get Mike Coppinger to say it. Chris Big Head Mannix to say it. Tim Bradley to say it. Andre Ward to say it. And without proving it, they get the benefit of it all. when you really put a microscope up to these guys' resumes, especially this guy that went 4 divisions or whatever, and you look at the champions he beat, what have them champions went on to go do? He just got the accolades, but like the risk and all that, like he's been risk averse. And I know because I used to be a diehard fan. I called him the definition in my boxes to watch. He's been risk averse. That's why I said, nah, man, I can't condone that. That's why I just now got off the Richardson Hitchens. I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to support you until your moves start looking crazy and funny. And when you duck Duarte and then you sign the Zuffa, it's like, nah, bro. I respect the skills, man. If I ever get a chance to see you fight, I'll watch, you know what I'm saying? But I can't be out here making videos supporting you moving like that. It's just, I keep the same energy, though. Your favorite content creator can't say the same thing. Because they pick and choose. They go whatever. And rightfully so, because a lot of them earn their money off of it. So I understand the game. But you ain't going to gaslight me. I don't make the money off of this like the way they do. So they in pocket. Like they can only get out of bounds. It's just like when you work for a certain company, right? And you got their name, you wear their name, you under their umbrella or whatever. Yeah, you got to play by company rules. A lot of these guys are playing by company rules. They doing it under the guise. Ain't nobody saying, oh, well, who's paying him? Oh, Devin and them paying him? Oh, okay, that's why he's saying that. Ain't nobody saying that. They got the numbers over there, so everybody want to feel like cool and they don't want to get shunned. They don't want to be ignored. Like some of us don't give a fuck. The real is back, man. It never left. It's just not as loud. It's just not as loud as the clutter, the garbage. That's why it's more 7-Elevens and McDonald's than there are fine dining restaurants. Think about it. The modern incentive often becomes to be stay marketable by surviving it. Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready to sign with this, whatever. It don't. Okay, so what happened with this deal? They had a deal, but no, you know, if you would have took that deal, if you would have took that 6-fight, $18 million minimum deal, you was gonna have to fight some people that you probably like that was gonna be risky. And it don't make no sense because you make all these moves only to come around and want to fight 2 fighters that you would have fought had you stayed there, like T.O. and Morataya. They both were top ranked. If that's what you really want to do, you didn't have to go leave and go do nothing. You could have just stayed there. Zepeda would have had to come to you because he was coming up on the mandatory, and that's the lane that they was going to pick. You would have got him anyway. But you might have had to fight Abdullah. Yeah. You probably would have got, you might have, if Loma wouldn't have, you know what I'm saying, went on vacation and family time and did whatever, he might have got the Loma fight. Why? T.O. got the Loma fight. Jermaine Ortiz got the Loma fight. You don't think you would have got it? You fought Conceição. Probably would have fight Navarrete. You probably would have had to fight Navarrete more than like. And I have a record, and I played it in my video where Tim Bradley is on record saying Navarrete had a signed contract with Shakur name on it. Jermaine Ortiz also had a signed contract with Shakur name on it. But them fights look like them fights you wasn't really interested in them fights. Under the guise of fighting the big names and this and that. Like, yeah, but you didn't have to make all them moves to fight the same guys you was going to ultimately fight anyway. Risk averse, man. Risk averse. The other sports compared in basketball, football, and other major sports, athletes are rewarded for increasing production, breaking scoring records, and giving fans highlights and moments. In other sports, that kind of stuff is rewarded. Boxing is going the opposite direction. Boxing is drifting in the and it's crazy because you'll have the Andre Wards, you'll have the Timothy Bradleys, you'll have these guys. Even Roy sometimes surprised me. You'll have these guys who, when they was in the ring, they gonna make it happen. They gonna get the job done. They gonna sell out. Like, yeah, they gonna do whatever. But they're co-signing what these younger guys are doing now. And I'm like, hold on, bro. You wasn't even doing that, bro. You wasn't that kind of fighter. Like, you wanted to be special, and that's why you happen to become special. Like, but you're co-signing this bullshit now for what? Because you want to check? I don't get it. Boxing is drifting in the opposite direction when commercially pushed fighters produce less offense and less action. This is where we at right now. You don't like it, but don't hate me. Your boxers are doing this. Our boxers are doing this. Not the ones I rock with, because once I see you doing that, I'm not going to be out here like putting on no throat coat, putting in no tonsil jewelry for you, grabbing my reach around extenders and putting on knee pad. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to be like, nah, bro. Nah. One thing I can say, even though Keyshawn is selective with his opponents, and yeah, he real selective, but even him, all my criticisms for him and how he throw all this linguini and say all these names or whatever, he ain't going in there trying to patty cake with you. At least that nigga in there trying to stop you or knock you out or hurt you. I can't give him credit for that. That creates a credibility gap. The sport sells danger, drama, conflict, but often rewards caution, delay. People waiting around, but like, what we waiting? Like, we haven't heard shit. We heard a whole bunch of name attachment from Shakur. We had a whole bunch of name attachments for Devin. We don't know what the hell they about to do. Caution. They want to have every single solitary advantage. Every kind of like, man, that shit, like when I start hearing how they're actually actively seeking all these, like the most advantages, and if they don't get them, then they not fighting, like, man, yeah, it's your livelihood and all that, but that's a pussy ass talking point. So, I mean, yeah, get all the advantage you can, but when it's to the point where it's like, damn, you want me to be blindfolded with my hand behind my back? Like outside of ring size and the type of gloves, who come out first, who come out last, what the fuck are we talking about? Now, oh no, man, you can only get 3 pounds and all this. And now catch weights, everybody hollering out some catch weight now. I'm like, I cringe every time somebody talk about a catch weight now. A certain fighters done it when there was a noticeable size difference. It's funny how you look at Devin standing in front of Loma, and then you look at Tank standing in front of Mario Barrios. And Devin get more credit for eking by, arguably losing that fight. He get more credit than Tank do for somebody like Mario Barrios. And you can clearly see the size, and that's not the only one for Tank. He also had Ryan like that, stopped them too. He stopped Barrios, Ryan, and Rolly. He don't get no credit. That's the credibility gap. That's why fans can accept defensive skill but reject performance that feels like minimum effort for maximum money. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, when you come out and you see your favorite guy, like when people go out and see LeBron play, when they go out there and they see Wemby, and the one game this season when I actually say, you know what, I'm going to sit down and really watch this, not just watch the highlights and catch up like that. The one game I sat down and go, like, actually really see that man Wemby on him, go to work, he was hurt. But guess what? I wasn't disappointed. Why? Because the role players stepped up. They was out there balling, and they won. Maximum effort. So even though I didn't get to see Wemby, who that's who I really wanted to see, because I think, man, that dude was special. Even though I didn't get to see it, the role players satisfied me. Why? Because they was balling, They was balling. Diving on the floor for loose balls. Like, they was doing getting back on defense, like, trying to block. Like, they was balling. We don't get that in boxing, bro. These are the counterpoints that make my argument stronger. And this is what I do to keep myself balanced. You got to look for this because I don't want this to be a slant. Defensive mastery is part of boxing and should not be dismissed. I don't dismiss it. Fans once criticized Mayweather in similar ways, so the argument must separate skill from entertainment value. So we're separating as two different things, because a lot of things I say would have you and your dumb ass running around saying, oh, you just hating on Devin. I didn't say Devin didn't have no skills. I didn't say Shakur didn't have no skills. I said they're being risk averse. That's different. It's not as entertaining as if because you know with the level and how they're touted, like how Floyd had skills, but he was also entertaining. It's a balance. So before people running around, oh man, I just seen this live. This dude was just hate. No, having skills and acknowledging somebody that has superior skills. Because I'm starting to realize that what Devin do in the ring and how he move and how he pick and pop and move, that is a skill set that if you don't know what you're doing, he's probably going to beat you. You know, that's Brian Norman. Like, that was the latest example. I was like, man. And then when I seen what Josh Kelly did with Bachram, even though in that scenario, I think it was the 15-month layoff for Bachram. And even though I really do think Bachram won. Like, he really won. I mean, I think that was so close. But, like, I'm not going to kick and scream about it. But, like, everybody that watched it and we got the feedback, a lot of people I seen who we didn't watch together, we didn't consult or whatever, the verdict of that fight was Bachram really won that fight. But it was the inactivity. But that skill set, just like what Xander doing, that shit is a skill set to be able to like punch while moving and all that. Now Xander, his output is different. This output that I showed with Devin and the 70 punches landed, like for the last 2 fights, like that shit is an anomaly. But he knows how to do it. But I'm telling you, this shit is not entertainment. Having a skill set and being able to do that versus people wanting to see somebody do that is 2 different things. It's no disrespect. Yes, he spent hours. Him and his father, they labored, they turned. Wally and Shakur, they labored and turned and all that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But I could take a guy like O'Shaughnessy just like that, who's more entertaining. He's more entertaining, more offensive output. He can be a Teflon. He can be a Teflon. Now he can do the same shit that they doing, but he switches. He loses nothing when he switches stance. And he's more risk averse. People say, oh, well, who has he? If you look at their resumes, right? And you look at who they fought and the conditions of which they fought him, he's more risk averse. He will go to risk. He has taken risks. He's been putting in decisions. Why? Because he has not been a social media darling. He has not been a people's favorite. He can do that if he wanted to. He don't do that, though. He don't. Modern fighters know more about long-term brain damage, so caution is not always cowardice. That's what I wanted. You know, I wanted to say that, like, yeah, people get hit in the head, and all it takes is one punch. And when people fighting dirty, yeah, that's why I talk about the G-Man. That's why I don't like Conor Ben. I don't like the squabble. You know, G-Man's sister finally came out and said, yeah, you know, she knows. She has, you know, something that lets her know that there was cheating involved. That's why I don't like when people be rabbit punching in the back of the head. So I understand it's a very, very hazardous job. It's pugilism. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, if you want to choose to be that way, you can't really, if you choose to be that way and you decide to fight like that and people are like giving pushback and feedback, you can't be like, oh, well, it's my head, not yours. It's like, no, in the sport where people are paying money to see what they want to see, you can't argue with that. It's like, I'm gonna fight my way. If you don't like it, don't support me. You probably should come out and say something like that. And people be like, all right, well, shit, hey, depending on who you fight, I'll support. And if you ain't fight nobody or whatever, they're gonna give you a good fight, I'm not watching that shit. That's just how it goes. Purses are driven by business economics, not violence alone. Not just violence, not just because you got a killer. Think about Bud and what he's been going through and how he's been and whatever. He wasn't selling out arenas and all that. He got all the accolades. He was able to, you know, do what he did with Canelo. He was able to do, and, you know, time with the timing of when he fought Spence and all that, he was able to get off. But that didn't make him a world beater. Like, he wasn't touring the globe and doing like, yeah, he's going on this media tour now, but like, even being a switch hitting killer, like a stopper, a guy who I call a closer, he wasn't. It didn't translate to mass appeal. Why? Because people are not gonna point this out. He was risk averse. He was over there on the top ranked diet. He was saying, "Oh man, they won't let me play in any reindeer games and all this and pick, choosing, and refusing." I was just talking to somebody. I was talking to this dude, Candy Slim, the other day. He done came over here. We got a history. We know. I'll be seeing him over there in the Boxing Voice. over there rewriting history and shit. Rewriting history. When Bud was on record, Akim Barak saying, hey, the fight past me, well, probably, yeah, I ain't fighting him, man. He's like, man, it's gonna hurt his legacy. Yeah, it's gonna hurt mine. No, I'm already going to the Hall of Fame. And this, tell him, and then when he get in the accident, tell him to get his draws out his butt and fight him. It's like, hold on, one thing you saying this, one thing, and people are just rewriting history, saying that Spence ducked Bud like initially. Like, no, he didn't. They were not in the same weight class, right? And when he got undisputed, Bud could have went wherever he wanted to go. He had all 4 belts. So why? Okay, so why did Bud decide to use his WBO and fight Horn? And why did Devin, after being undisputed, why did he use his WBC to go fight Regis? They both was undisputed. And people say, oh man, it don't work like that. It's like, no, sometimes you got to petition. You got to put in the, like with the IBF, you probably got to petition. It was the same thing I was saying with Boots moving from where he was and dropping his leverage. He had the WBA and the IBF, didn't use either in Fort Lima. And I'm saying, well, why didn't you just use your IBF or whatever to do whatever? Oh, it don't work like that. It wasn't automatic. People get lost in that. That's a dumbass talking point when all you got to do is put in the paperwork for it. Petition. And they got to approve it, yeah, but if they ain't got nothing going on, and the man background was inactive for 15 months. But people don't care about those fine details. They just want to put on the knee pads for their favorite fighter. It don't make no sense. It's just like, tell the truth. Bud was running around talking about how Keith Thurman was that guy. Yeah, they had the red hoodie, black hoodie moment with him and Earl, but like, he was undisputed. He could have tried to go get that line. He wins for Jeff Horn. People who say that was the least one. And Jeff Horn, he was going off the back of Jeff Horn, just getting that decision over Manny Pacquiao. So money people ain't going to argue or go too for now. It's like, okay, he just came off the Manny Pacquiao thing. Okay, cool. You going to pick that, and you got a history with the WBO. Okay, cool. But don't try to rewrite history and say Earl ducked or whatever. It's like, no, you were undisputed. You could have made it happen. But they be wanting it both ways, and they wait and try to rewrite history. It's like, nah, cuz he was calling for Thurman. He didn't really want to fight Spence initially. And then even when Spence got all 3 belts, guess what happened? The proof is in the pudding because he left the man at the altar and went for Albanesian. Social media has changed how stars are built, marketed, and protected. Social media, man, they are built on social media, they're marketed on social media, and they are protected on social media. It's some people that I used to rock with, or at least, even though we didn't see eye to eye, like they like their certain set of boxes, I like my certain set, I would at least stop by and see what they got to say. It's like, oh, okay, well, shit, that's a good point. Oh, okay, cool. Now it's like, nah, it don't even make no sense, because now you go over there, and if you ain't sipping the Kool-Aid, and if you ain't jiggling, like you go somewhere and you say something about Boots, if you ain't jiggling Boots balls, and you ain't if you ain't saying he the best thing since sliced bread, oh, they gonna act like you said something about their mama. I'm like, hold on, but I'm the one that bought tickets to go see Boots. I was in the building when he fought Stanionis. What the fuck are you talking about? I want to see him fight somebody bigger, taller, longer, stronger. I want to see him go up. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him fight. Like, I want to see him fight Jamel. I want to see him fight somebody that, like, we don't know that he automatically was whatever, but like, you say the wrong thing. And that's why when certain boxes come up on certain channels, I don't even say shit. Because it don't make no sense. Like, now, that's how you protect it. You say something like, oh man, here you go hating. That's the first. How are you hating when you're stating the fact? Since he fought a mover like Karen, when the last time you saw him have to cut the ring off against another mover? You haven't. So you really don't know. You can assume that when he fight a mover, yeah, he just that big, he just that strong, he just that powerful. But when somebody got some good feet and they can punch in the move, until you see him do that again, you don't know. It's speculation. So why are you out with the knives and the pitchforks for somebody saying, hey man, we got to see how he going to cut the ring off on this guy? We got to see. You can believe he's going to win all you want, but that's not hating. And this is where we at right now. Social media will shut that shit down. They're like, here you go. That's all he do. It's like, but I ain't put my money into going to go see the dude. So what the fuck are you? Did you put your money? Did you go book a hotel? Did you go drive? Did you have tickets? Did you have to pay for some drinks and food and all that to go see? You didn't? Okay, so what the fuck are you talking to me about? It don't make no sense. But that's how it is on social media. Protected. You get Chris Mannix to say something. You get Mike Cap to say something. You get Soldier Moyer. You get Tarver. You get one Andre Durrell, to say something or whatever. That's all it is. Just because they say it. That's like, no, that don't mean nobody break it down. Everybody's intimidated. Why? Nobody want to confront them with no fact or no truth. And I'm not saying them all. I like a lot of Tarver tape, but like sometimes you already know. And when you challenge or when you say something, like, oh, here you go hating on a Hall of Famer. Here you go saying something about, man, Tim Bradley, man, he worked with Teddy. So what? That don't mean he be capping. That don't mean he be contradicting himself. That don't mean he don't be flip-flopping. He'll say some shit on Wednesday, and then on Friday, he'll come back and say the polar opposite. That's why I call him Tim Double Standard Bradley. Sometimes it's pure gold. I'm like, man, if you just stay like that, you ain't got to worry about the numbers. You already built it. They going to come, but you ain't got to be flip-flopping. Just like Egghead, he be flip-flopping. Now he want to come out and tell the truth on Shakur because he going over to Zuffa or he heard. But you be flip-flopping. Ain't nobody gonna check you on your bullshit. One day you got autism, the next day you quoting Nietzsche and shit. Like, what the fuck, man? Ain't nobody gonna call you on that? Like, nah, I am. I'm gonna say, man, cut all that bullshit. Just get back to talking straight boxing where people love what you brought to the table. Stop all this politics and all this other shit where you want to rub the balls on this side and pat the back on this side. It's like, no, man, just say what it is, y'all. Just keep it a buck. Just keep it straight down. Just say what it is. Don't be no hindsight at 2020 after you done seen all this. It's like, oh yeah, man, I told you this. They do that all the time. We wait until the outcome or something and then be like, I told you. You can't do it if you wasn't standing in real time. And if you was jumping from side to side, you have no right to be able to do that hindsight. Well, I told y'all, man. I told you. Yeah, I told you, man. I was trying to tell you. That's how social media is, man. These were the title options. When pugilism became business. And they all were good. That's why I included them. The death of the gladiator era. Boxing. From warfare to wealth protection. The art of fighting versus the business of surviving. Has boxing forgotten the fans? That's what I'm asking. Have y'all forgotten the fans, fighters? The commercialization of pugilism. The safety era of boxing. But in the vein of, since I love my movies, man, in the vein of Olympus has fallen, London has fallen, Angel has fallen, pugilism has fallen. And if we don't grab this shit by the throat and check it, and make it do what it's supposed to do and at least speak to the things that need to be spoken to, man, we're going to be looking at WWE, WWF. And this is why I don't trust the Zuffa shit. I don't trust it. Why? You go get a big name and you bring him over. Who you going to bring over? Are you going to bring over a killer to come beat him? No. Are you trying to build something? Especially if you're going to give him some kind of long-term money. So dare I say that we're going to be seeing a lot more like fixed fights? We're going to see a lot more shit where people don't look quite right, like T.O. versus Shakur. Like, we're going to see a lot more shit like that where it's like, yeah, we hear about James Prince coming to your house and doing all that, and then you show up the next day. You talk all this shit. Your father don't come, you talk all this shit, and then you show up in the ring, and you don't sell out. You just hand over your cornbread like that off of a jab and front foot placement. He ain't even put no cayenne pepper on you. He ain't even do nothing. You ain't even sell out. You just stood there, got punched in the face, and got checked hooked over and over again. We're going to see a lot more shit like that. This is how y'all formulate. I want y'all to see this. This is how y'all formulate this shit, y'all. I want y'all to see, because I want y'all to copy this shit. Closing lines that land hard. The old legends fought to become immortal. Today, many fighters fight to remain marketable. In the past, greatness demanded risk. Today, marketability often rewards caution. Those lines summarize the entire thesis clearly. These are all the sources: Comfy Box, Bad Left Hook, ESPN, Boxing Scene, The Guardian. So these are sources. So I brought sources to verify and to prove what I was stating, my main case, my main point, my main objective, and I gave you sources to back up what I was saying. There they are. I had to do that, man, because I hope y'all copy this. I hope y'all see it. I hope y'all spread it around. I hope y'all be talking about it, whatever. But it's gonna force you. It's gonna force you to It's gonna force you to face the facts, man. What up, AC? Yeah, I knew it was gonna get it. I knew a lot of y'all. I knew that thing was gonna start thriving for a lot of y'all. I knew y'all was gonna be butthurt by this because the truth hurts. You know what I'm saying? The truth hurts. It hurts. It hurts. Oh, it hurts. The only thing is, instead of coming up here and insult, you could have asked for a link. You could have said, "I want to debate." You ain't say none of that because you know I will kick your fucking ball all over the fence. That's why a lot of niggas, they be saying a whole bunch of shit online, but I be right here. The link is right there. That's why I said I knew it was going to attract something, because when I put that burner account friendly, that's when the people that really admire me, they get on their burner accounts. You know what I'm saying? They come because they know they got up here. They don't want to be. I heard somebody using my shit the other day talking about, I don't want to put you up on the Summer Jam screen. Come on, man. Enough is enough, man. Stop all the copying and all that. Be original in some kind of way. But I always afford people the opportunity. I always afford people the opportunity to come see about me. I just don't be wanting to be in front of the camera the whole time, because people get like they be getting caught up in how somebody look or whatever. Like if I got my mustache shaped up or my hairline right or what color shirt I got on. I want you to listen to it and get this work. This shit should be more cerebral than anything, and it should be up here. It should force this thing right here to keep going and keep turning, and wheels keep, going. But I had to. I said, man, like the numbers and what's going on with boxing, man. Like if y'all keep condoning this shit, and like a lot of y'all, like I can tell some of y'all are young as fuck. You know what I'm saying? I'm 45 years old. I come from a different era. So I might be borderline in unk status, or big bro status or whatever. But like a lot of y'all youngins, y'all just you just think somebody hating, and you haven't even sat down and think about. You don't even. A lot of times I notice that when you're younger, especially if you don't have practice in it, you tend to open your mouth before you even think about what's coming out. You just freestyle, because we in a freestyle. I can just say how I feel and all this. It's like, no, this shit took research. This shit took time. I was sitting up here thinking about this shit because I couldn't sleep. I done played all my chess games. I've been burning up on chess. Salute Cookie Monster. I've been burning up the chess games. I've been getting better. Whenever I'm deep in thought or going, figuring things out in life, I play a lot of chess. I've been burning up my chess games, been beating the shit out of people. And I just couldn't sleep last night. But I'm sitting there thinking, I said, man, where's boxing going? So where the people that's doing what they're supposed to do, moving how they're supposed to move, they got all that good energy. They don't get they're not marketable. Why? Because they can't be owned. Most of the time when people, think about this, most of the time when people are moving the way they're supposed to be moving, talking how they're supposed to be talking, conducting themselves the way they're supposed to be conducting, that is a signal that they have somebody behind them with a plan of action, which means that if you have a plan of action, somebody behind you and guiding you, you can't be controlled. You can't be regulated. But the people that's out here like loose pit bulls, saying they want to smoke with everybody, they want to fight the rock wall over here, they want to fight the Doberman pigeon over there, you know what I'm saying, just for the shits and giggles, they want to beat the shit out of this poodle over here. Then all the gates open up, and they actually start fighting the people that was behind the gates. The pit bull actually fight the rottweiler, and they out here still looking like wallflowers. Like I don't even know who I'm gonna fight. That's who social media is pushing. That's what these agendas, these unfounded, and I saw this last year. It's been going on, like it's coming up on a year and a half now. I said, man, I'm tired of these benefit of the doubt fighters. Like certain people that should get the benefit of the doubt, like people who actually sell out and pack stadiums and sell it, they don't. I see somebody pulling up, bringing up Tank, this dark side there, talking about Tank. Why don't he get the benefit of the doubt when everywhere he go, he's been selling out? He don't get the benefit of the doubt. He got to keep proving himself. Why? Because he don't have the accolade of having unified 2 belts. Well, arguably the top, at least the top out of 3, 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5? But 3 out of, let's say 3 out of 5. Let's say the top 5. Out of the top 5, he stopped 3 of them. And he sell out arenas. But he still has to prove everything. But these guys that couldn't sell out a chicken dinner at a family cookout, they get the benefit of the doubt? With the performances that they're giving, with the numbers that they're giving, with the activity, being risk averse, always having social media. For a while, I mean, we forgot that certain guys even speak. They get to have everybody do their bidding. They got all this major media just always. And think about it, man. Like, think about it. If everywhere you go, everybody has to tell you how good or how much, or they have to explain why this and why is that. It's just like some of these movies come out, you know, let's just say Siskel and Ebert do a review, or this guy say that, and everybody just like shoving it down your throat. Just say, oh man, you gotta see it, man. You just, come on. It's like, man, it make you look at it like, why are y'all promoting this stuff so heavy? Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. That good, like, cause we in the heroin capital of the nation, right? Baltimore was, and then fentanyl came on. Guess what? Some good heroin or some good fent, you ain't gotta advertise that shit. When Frank Lucas went over there and did what he did, and he came back with that blue magic, he didn't have to tell everybody. That shit hit the market, and everybody wanted it, and they knew where to go find it, and they knew when somebody stepped on it. That's why he came back and said, man, you don't step on this shit. You sell it how it is. Some of my favorite fighters is that blue magic, man. That's just social media is telling you, oh, no, that's not that. That's not this. That's not that. This is what this is, and this is how this is, and this. And they got to shove it down your throat. They got to advertise it. They got to, like, force it. It's like, man, you don't got to force it. Good product sell itself. It just do what it do, and people saying, hey, man, I want to see that again. I want to see this. You don't got, if you got everybody, all the boxing writers associated, the Sean Zattels, the Mike Caps, the Timothy Bradley, you got all these people, like any Fight Hype and, you know, Fight Hub and all these, everybody just shoving all this shit. Brian Custard now, shoving this shit down your throat. That make you question how good the product is. The good product sell itself, man. Cause last time I checked, man, Tank don't do nearly as many. He don't nearly be. He'll get on Twitter every now and again. He'll shoot his little whatever, do whatever, but he don't be on there as much as Twitterson. He don't be on the Boxing Voice. You know, I ain't never seen Tank on. Well, I seen Tank. He used to. Brian. He used to go on, but a lot of these guys, they be on every social media platform, everything, just shoving it, just saying some of the most outrageous shit ever. I don't see Tank do that. But he get the most hate. But a lot of people say, a couple people that came on record and said they actually was in the room talking to Al Heyman, speaking to him, and didn't even know until he was gone that was Al Heyman on some Kaiser Sose shit. Everybody, they don't stop people from talking bad about Al. But because you see Eddie on everything. He's like, oh yeah, he'll say one thing, he'll describe Shakur and promote him, and then take a shit on Shakur when he promoting Boots, like what he said about Boots. He's like, yeah, with Boots, you're not gonna worry about him being in there trying to outpoint and try to put on this defensive line. He's coming to get you, mate. He's one of the best fighters in the world. But then he changed up tunes when it comes to promoting Shakur. Tells you a lot. Well, you need that media hype train behind you, man, and everybody got to keep just shoving it down your throat. It'll make me like, if somebody just, especially even in sales, I used to tell people, like, listen, relax, man. And this is how I used to sell. When I used to sell insurance, I used to sell insurance like this. I'll present the information, and I'll make you feel like you would be stupid if you didn't accept it. Now, I would always give you the choice, but 9 times out of 10, I would seal the deal, right? And they would understand, they would know their premium, they would know everything was drawn up. I would take the whole packet, I would take everything, I would take the whole packet and I would hand it to them. And I say, listen, if you understand the terms of what we went over and you understand this is how your policy works and you don't feel like you bit off more than you can chew, you understand that this is a premium that you're going to be paying. You know, from here on out, this is not something like, oh, I'm going to pay it now like a subscription, like a, you know, Netflix subscription or something, Pandora or something, where I'm just gonna cancel. It's like, no, it does the company no good, it does you no good to just throw away your premium if it's not something. That's why if the premium is higher than what you know you can handle, rain, see the snow, we can always increase later on. But if this $43, like if that was the premium every month, if this $43 premium it's something that you know, okay, I can live with this. I can, you know, that's not no harm, no foul if that's coming out, you know, every month or whatever, and you're going to be able to stick to it. You can then hand me back that. And when you hand that back to me from that time on, you are insured. I didn't have to say, hey, man, listen, man, you're going to get this and you're going to do it. I'm telling you, man, because you, listen, man, you're going to die. You're going to die. One day I'm telling you, I didn't have to do all of that. I went over the benefits. I answered all their questions. I made sure that they understood how that premium was going to be a life changer or a lifesaver or something that was going to ease the dis-ease of losing a loved one. And it sold itself. Right now, man, what we getting on social media and how these people are, man, they overselling, man, they over pushing. It's just like, all right, knock it off, bro. The dude is not Floyd. The dude is not Roy. You know what I'm saying? He's not Hagler. He's not Hearns. He's not the best thing since sliced bread. He picked, choose, and refused. He chose when he wanted to negotiate. He walked away from fights. He did this and all that. Like, that's this era. None of them guys are moving the way the guys of yesteryear move. None of them. There's some young guys that's actually got that energy, and we'll see. Only time will tell how they continue to move. Because I've seen people change. I've seen people come on and say this. They get out to a fast start, then they start turning like divas. They start acting all crazy and stupid. You know what I'm saying? So only time will tell, but like, let's stop overselling, man. And like, if you get the 100 M's, I salute him. You know what I'm saying? That's achievable. That's like the American dream for sure, for sure. You should never be broke another day in your life. It's two different things that I'm talking about as far as the numbers and it dictating and what it's going to do for the vitality of the sport and this big ass agenda that's going on with Zuffa. Two different things. If you're not mature enough to understand that, this is not the channel for you. If you didn't like this episode, oh well. I don't care. I'm not trying to be the Drake of this shit. I'm not trying to be the most popular. I don't want to be the most liked. I don't need to. Then you get a lot of people, fake people, just sitting around pilfering ideas and just plucking shit from you and stealing and all that, smiling all in your face. Then going to go do the same shit that you want to go do because they can't come up with shit. They're not that creative. That's what this channel is. Silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail. When this bullshit that's going on in boxing is for us to remain silent. That's why we speak to the things that need to be spoken to. Right? We have our opinions. We say, go listen to everybody else. Come over and hear what we got to say. Maybe we'll give you something different. Maybe you might have learned one or two things. Maybe you didn't look at things in a different light. That's all it is. It's to get you to critically think, to break things down. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to hate on nobody, especially if they look like me. But I look like hating on somebody that look like me. You know what I'm saying? What I look like? No. People can't handle honest dialogue. But hopefully you was able to put something in your rucksack and march on with, man. We are monetized. It do take work. We do put in work. We don't just go listen to what this guy said and then go do our own rendition of it and copy and paste and use their terms and then say, oh yeah, man, you the first one and you the only one. We don't do all that bullshit. That's disrespectful. If I hear somebody say something, I'll tell you, hey, I heard this somewhere else. I heard this there. I got this from there. Or I heard such and such say this. I heard blah, blah, blah. I do that. We do that. You know what I'm saying? And we the little guy. We say we're in a niche market, right? We say support us too. You know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe, super chat, cash app. Support the channel, man. This is why I've seen a lot of smaller channels fall by the wayside for lack of support, to where they just gave up and said, you know what? Ain't nobody doing it. And they're not going to go popular. They're not going to be the most, they're not going to go along with the get. I'm not going to go and just link up with something. I'm not going to go sit on
punch with you. It was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you wanna go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.